பேசுவாங்களா? இன்னும் டாய்லெட் வச்சு பேசுவாங்க. இந்த ரிமைண்டர் இருக்குல்ல, ரிமைண்டர் அமௌண்ட் கிளைம் பண்ணணும் அப்படின்னா அந்த ரிமைண்டர் பில் வந்து தனியாக தான் வந்துச்சு. அதை இந்த வீக்லி பேமெண்ட்டில் அதை மட்டும் சேர்த்து விட்டுரு. ஃபார்மேஷன் தான் போட்டு எடுத்து வந்துருச்சு, சேர்க்க வேண்டாம். இந்த ரிமைண்டர் வந்து இருக்கு, அக்கௌண்ட் ஆஃபீஸுக்கு வாங்கின மாதிரி அதை போட்டு விட்டுரு. அட்லீஸ்ட் நமக்கு பாதி அமௌண்ட் உள்ள போகணும். 35,000
Okay, good morning to all. Please wait another 1 or 2 minutes. Our resource person going to join. Please be connected. Uh, Good morning, sir, Pastor Protim Brother. Okay, Ms. Sadan,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
we can start the program. Yes, we can start the program. And Sir Giri, he informed me that he's going to joining. He's going to join after 15 or 20 minutes. So please start the program.
Okay, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, you are very much audible.
Dr. B. Kilangla Chamir, Professor and Dean of RDC Nagaland University. Mr. Bartha Pratim Bora, Assistant Professor, Deprivation University, and Dr. Giri Babu M., Professor, Mizoram University. They are our three resource persons today. We are also joined by the eminent persons from the administration of St. Joseph University and a host of professors, research scholars, and students across the country. Good morning, and I warmly welcome each one of you to this national webinar on the theme Application of Statistical Tools in Social Science Research, organized by the Department of Economics, St. Joseph University, Dimapur, Nagaland. Now we will begin our webinar right away. As the saying goes, man proposes, but it is God who disposes it. So I request Sister Tanis, Deputy Registrar of St. Joseph University, to invoke God's presence in our midst today. Sister Tanis.
Yes, ma'am. Let us bow our heads and put ourselves in the holiness of God, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. The reading is taken from the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 4, verses from 14 to 16. You are the light of the world. A city built on a hill cannot be hid. No one, after lighting a lamp, puts it under the bushel bucket, but on the lampstand, and it gives light to all in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, so that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father in heaven. Dear Almighty and ever-loving God, we glorify and thank you for this gift of day and gift of life to each one of us. You have showed us with so much blessings, and your presence continuously reminds us of your faithfulness and guidance. With this may be humbly asked to shower your blessings and graces upon our speakers of today. They may be a great inspiration so that whatever they share with the most of their knowledge, with the heart and soul to their respective topics. Lord Jesus, may we also observe the invaluable knowledge, experiences, and put into practice what we may learn today. Lord, God the Father, inspire our speakers, enlighten them that the knowledge and the wisdom they may continue to share with us and the whole world. Also, Lord Jesus, I offer at your feet the organizing committee of today. Thank you, Lord, for inspiring them to choose such a wonderful topic which is useful for all research scholars and the students. They may also continue to receive your blessings. Lord, bless also all the participants, all the people, those who are behind of this seminar. All may enrich with this seminar and experience your God's wisdom and knowledge, which can be used for the human growth and well-being of human. For this grace we pray through Christ our Lord. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you, sister, for the word of God and the prayer. Now, next, we will have, I request our HOD and Associate Professor Dr. Debujit Gonwar for his welcome speech, which will be followed by a short exhortation from Sister Arokia Mary, Dean of Academic. Okay, Sir Debujit.
Okay. Good morning to all. Thank you, Ms. Saren, for giving me this wonderful time. Here present honorable guest of honor, keynote speakers of today's national webinar on the topic Research Methodology in Social Science Research, Professor B. Kilangla Jomir, Department of Economics and Dean of RDC Nagaland University. Here present Mr. Parthapratim Bora, Assistant Professor, Department of Sociology, Deprivation University, Assam. Professor Giri Babu M, Department of Economics, Mizoram University. Here present Honorable Registrar of our University, Dr. A. Anthonyson, Honorable Dean of Academics, Sister Dr. Arokia, Honorable Deputy Registrar, Sister Thynes, my dear colleagues, and dear participants from different parts of our country. First of all, I would like to convey our heartiest regards and warm welcome to the distinguished guests present here, and then convey our thanks to the administration for their consistent encouragement to our department to organize this national webinar. In this auspicious moment, I also cordially welcome to all dear participants across the country. As per our registration data, altogether 351 participants get registered with this webinar. And I am expecting that your valuable presence today definitely leads to a successful end this national webinar. Also expecting that emphasis on the topic, most relevant topic, research methodology in social science research, definitely send a positive message to various disciplines of social science and to our society. As all of we know that research is a systematic effort to gain new knowledge. It is an academic activity which gives us creativity, thinking, and knowledge. Thus, it is an art of scientific investigation. So, in this scientific investigation process, one should very much careful its various steps, and these steps start from the selection of topic till up to finding summary and conclusion. Among all these steps, a researcher has to very much careful about research methodology, about selection of proper statistical tools for data analysis, and some ethics he has to maintain during his research work. So these ethics may be during the time of preparation of questionnaire, during the time of data collection, and finally publication ethics. And for that, we have invited three most experienced and well-known personalities of our country to emphasize in this topic, in these three topics. The first topic is going to present research methodology in social science research is going to present by Madam Kilang. Madam Kilang, presently Professor, Department of Economics and Dean of RDC, Nagaland University. Our Department of Economics always be grateful to the Department of Economics, Nagaland University, because most of the faculties of our department are the product of Nagaland University. And as like other students from different parts of our country, our department also blessed by the depth of knowledge and various suggestions in research and other fields from Madam Kilang. So we always have great respect to Madam Kilang, and really we are impressed by your valuable presence in this national webinar. So most welcome, ma'am, to this national webinar. Our second topic, that is research and publication ethics. It is going to present Mr. Partha Pratim Bora, Assistant Professor, Department of Sociology, Debrugurh University. So Mr. Partha Pratim Bora, he awarded UGC JRF in 2008, ICMR JRF in 2011, Best Graduate Award in 2008, and University Gold Medalist with highest in MA course with highest CGPA from Tezpur University. Really, sir, we are impressed by your academic achievement, and really we are grateful for your valuable presence with us today. And the third topic, today's national webinar, that is application of statistical tools in social science research, going to present by Sir Giri. Sir Giri is Professor, Department of Economics, Mizoram University. We always have great respect to Sir Giri, and Sir Giri is well known in the state of Nagaland as well as all the parts of economy, all the parts of our country, by his contribution in the field of economics and research. So in various critical situations, normally we communicate with Sir Giri, and all the time he shared with useful suggestions to us. So really we are impressed, Sir Giri, for your valuable presence in this national webinar. And we expecting that your professional diligence and depth knowledge in the field of research definitely enrich the knowledge of our faculties and the participants as well. So I am not want to consume more time. On behalf of St. Joseph University and the Department of Economics, I cordially welcome to you all in this national webinar. By sharing these few lines, I declare to conclude. Thank you.
Thank you for your speech, Sir. Of now, I give time to our Dean of Academics, St. Joseph University, Mr. Arif. To you, sir.
Honorable resource persons from various educational institutions, our registrar sir, Dr. Andoni sir, dear fathers, sisters, HOD and members of the faculty, and my dear participants, a very good morning to all of you. Indeed, I'm very happy to be part of this national webinar on research methodology organized by Department of Economics. And I have to actually acknowledge the hard work, the important initiatives, and the pain taken by the Department of Economics HOD and the members of the faculty in organizing such various webinars and a lot of funded seminars and standard webinars. I mean, arranging good resource persons, everything matters a lot. So I really appreciate the department for really making it a meaningful and fruitful webinars like this. And anything does not happen overnight. It needs a lot of planning, especially the meticulous planning, and it involves the works of many students, staff, and various administrative staff, and so on. But still, your efforts are appreciable. And although it is pandemic, initially when it was Corona started, and when it declared a holiday and so on, lot of confusions were there, and we were really finding difficult to just go about with the regular classes. But of late, it itself gave lot of avenues, opportunities to connect with various persons across the country, across the world. So what actually it tells is that nothing is impossible in our side if we have only plan and work together as a team. Everything is achievable. That is the message I get through various and while appreciating the all the members involved in organizing such kind of seminars, I would like to leave us, we are able to connect with various people across the globe, and a daily basis we are especially on this topic, this research. What is actually research? Why should we listen to so many people on this topic? Anyway, about this research. This research does not stop with the regular subjects. Okay, the research is not just to get the information alone. This is gathering the information and answering the unanswered questions. There are so many questions in every research. Why someone has contributed this? Why not this? So there are so many questions. There are so many options. There are so many opportunities left without answered. So research is not just gathering the information, but trying to answer the unanswered question. PhD, we could not under the sun knows everything. There is no one under the sun knows everything. So we have to know more day by day. We have to learn more day by day. We have to increase our knowledge by listening, reading, and visualizing so many things. Okay, so we have to learn day by day and learn more. And we have to find new areas of ignorance. If there is someone says, I know everything, he is ignorant of himself or herself. So we have to find out new areas of ignorance and learn on that, so that we will be in the part of research persons. Okay, we are to be very honest in research part of research team. Then we have to find out the areas of ignorance. So I just leave this message to all the participants. Knowing the ignorant area of oneself, participate seminars like this, and be the creation of knowledge tank. Be the creation of knowledge tank. As you learn day by day, you'll become the knowledge tank, where you will be able to share with many other people who are related to you, who are in collaboration with you, and you can leave the legacy as a person who has got the knowledge tank. I wish such kind of seminars would bring knowledgeable persons to address the people who are having passion to learn, and I wish all the participants with the same motto of having passion to learn, listening to people, become creation of knowledge and become the think tank and become the person who possesses all that is required to the world. Wish you all the best. Thank you and do well. Good luck.
Thank you, Sister Aroka Mary, our academic dean, for always supporting especially our department, economics department, and encouraging all the participants here today in webinar. Thank you so much. Okay, now the first session, we will start with the first session. We have 3 sessions today, and then we'll start with the first session. And before we start, I just want to tell all the participants that since it is going to be a little lengthy program today, like during the questionnaire, right after the first speaker, there will be questionnaire, and then there, I'm very sorry to inform you that only the first 5 questions will be put forward to the speaker. Okay, the first 5 questions will be put forward to the speaker. Okay. All right, let us start with the first session. She is one of the pioneers of Nagaland University and especially economics department. She did her PhD from Niho Shillong Meghalaya. More than 20 scholars has completed their PhD under her supervision, and currently she has full 6 scholars undergoing PhD under her. She has lots of publications, articles, and journals. And then she is a prominent figure, especially in the field of education, and a well-known professor in India. And in addition to that, just like our HOD has said, I am very proud to say that 5 teaching faculties present in this prestigious university, St.Joseph University, in our department. 5 teaching faculties are her students, have been her students in Nagaland University. Now, I warmly welcome Dr. P. Kilangla Chamir, Professor and Dean of RDC Nagaland University, with the topic Research Methodology in Social Science Research. Now I give time to Dr. Kilangla.
Good morning, everyone. Respected Chairperson.
Morning, madam.
Morning. Register of St.Joseph University, Academic Dean, TR Academic, Sisters and Father, and the Program Organizer, HUD, Department of Economics, Dibujit Konwar, and the faculties of the department, and the participants, everyone here. Today, I'm so delighted to be part of this webinar, and the topic, I was asked by the HUD Economics to speak on the research methodology in social sciences. So I gladly accepted that I'm so happy to be part of this program and to be with you, and knowing that many of the teaching faculties in the department, they were once upon a time, they were our students. So I take pride on that. And today I'm going to share on the topic, research methodology in social sciences. So I'd like to share the slides here. Okay. So is it visible? Hello? Hello?
Yes, ma'am, it is visible.
Okay, then I'll just go on. So here, going through the topic, what I have decided is that research methodology in social science researches, if we go in detail, then it will not be possible at all to finish much in 1 hour time. So what I have decided is that I will just give an overview on research methodology and social sciences. So today we will discuss about this. So we all know what is research. We're talking about research today, and everyone, so many people are going after research. So research is a search for new knowledge and new ideas. So that is what the former speaker has said this morning, and it stands. So this is a search for new knowledge and ideas. So search for information or a solution to a specific problem. So the new knowledge or a solution to the problem or some new ideas, this leads to social progress and economic development in the society. So what we see today is that the number of researchers in not only in social sciences but in all the disciplines, the number of researchers have increased, and the resources put forward for this activity for research, this has been increased. So the question is, many researchers, they are trying to find a solution to the social problems and economic problems like climate change or poverty, to tackle with the problem of poverty, inequality, unemployment, and so on and so forth. So here the question is that what is the outcome? What is the outcome of these researchers? Thousands and thousands number of people are going into research. And likewise, the resources invested for research activities has increased by many folds. So what is the outcome? The important thing is it standing on the shoulder of the great giants and can contribute to the stock of already exists knowledge? So is there any addition to the stock of knowledge that leads to progress of the society? Or, so how many of the researchers are under this category? And on the other hand, there are many researchers that they are just stepping on the toes of the others. So that means duplication of what has already been done. So ultimately, their contribution is negative or insignificant. So that is a question to be asked by the researcher himself or herself. Am I standing on the shoulder of the great giants and I can see further and I can contribute to the stock of knowledge and I can give a solution to the existing problem? Or am I just stepping on the do's of others and my work is just a duplication of what other people have done and no contribution to the existing stock of knowledge? So that the researcher himself or herself can ask and can answer. So likewise, the social science research, what we do is, it's not just a random process. It's not just a random process of research, but this is a scientific and systematic research process we follow, which is purposefully we decide and we adopt the procedures, the methodologies, and disciplined process of discovering the reality. That is what we do in the social science research. So that is how we move. We move from the known to the unknown in search of new knowledge and new ideas. So systematic inquiry is being adopted, and thereby we try to add to the new knowledge or the ideas in the society. So the social science research, this is a systematic approach. So this comprises of, what is this systematic approach? This comprises of define and redefine the problems. So that includes the objectives of study, and thereby from there redefining and define the problems of study, then we formulate research questions, hypotheses, and so on. And therefrom, based on those, we collect, organize, and evaluate the data. And thereby, from this, we make deduction and test the hypothesis, and we come to a conclusion. That is either a solution. We can bring out the solution towards the concerned problem, or in the form of a certain generalization for some theoretical formulation. That is how the process follows in a systematic way. So what method do we adopt in the process of research? Is that it is determined by the general objectives, that what the researcher is trying to do. So if it is to achieve some new insights into the phenomena, or gain familiarity with the existing situation, likewise, this we can call that is formulative research or exploratory research. Or if the researcher is trying to describe or depict the characteristics of a particular individual or a group of people or a solution, then that we can say that is a descriptive research. And determine, if the researcher is trying to determine the frequency of a phenomenon, then we know that this is diagnostic research. And if the researcher is trying to determine a causal relationship between the variables, then that is hypothesis testing research.
Dr. Christina, please turn off your mic. It's disturbing. Dr. Christina, please turn off your mic.
So, Chairman,
this is about what is going on, what is there, why this happens, which, who, and how, all this kind of question. We are trying to find a solution, trying to find an answer to all this what, why, which, how, and who, all this kind of questions. So the type of research, types of research in social sciences, there are many types, but I just have selected the general ones. So this descriptive research, if this is a descriptive research, then the researcher is trying to find out what is happening. So describe the current situation or the prevailing situation. That is a descriptive kind of research. analytical. If it is analytical, then the researcher is trying to use factual data or information available and make a critical evaluation of the problem, like why, who, which. So this kind of questions, trying to give an answer to this kind of questions. And if it is applied research, then the researcher is trying to find a solution to the immediate problem, practical problem faced by the society or business organization, etc. And the fundamental research, that is generalization of a natural phenomenon or a human behavior that leads to, that is followed by formulation of a theory. And quantitative and qualitative research, so that is quantitative research is based on objective reality, which are quantifiable in terms of quantity, in terms of unit. And qualitative research, on the other hand, is socially constructed qualitative phenomenon. It may be motive of a human behavior of a human being or in the society, or desire, attitude, opinion, etc. So the important subject matter here is the human behavior. And conceptual and empirical. If it is conceptual research, then relating to an abstract idea, the research is developed around the abstract idea or theory and try to interpret the theory. And if it is empirical, then it is based on the experiences and observation. These are data-based research, or we can say that experimental research. So it starts working with a hypothesis, a working hypothesis, and try to prove or disprove and try to explain, determine the causal relationship between the variables, the independent and the dependent variables. So that we can say that this is a kind of hypothesis testing research. And also another type is cross-section research and the time series research. So cross-section, as we all know, if it is cross-section, then we are concerned, the researcher is concerned about a single period of time. In that single period of time, data is collected for that single period of time and look into what happens in that particular period of time. So that is cross-section analysis or cross-section research. And if it is time series, then it takes over a period of time, over certain period of time, what happens. So these are the general type of research methodology. So the research methodology and the methodology method in social science research is that method is, we all know that techniques adopted in research operation, especially relating to data collection, statistical techniques adopted or tools employed in the analysis of data. Whereas methodology is the design of methodology. So that means methodology includes not only the method. Method is a part of the methodology, but when it comes to methodology, methods plus it also considers the logic behind adoption of a certain method at certain point of research operation and techniques use in the process of research. So that is about the methodology and the method in brief. So what is scientific method of research? We say that social science research is we follow a scientific method. So what is the scientific method of research? Is that we are trying to search, we are trying to find the truth, we are trying to find the solution and answer a new knowledge as determined by the logical consideration. So the basic purpose of this is that it relies on empirical evidences. It relies on empirical evidences and also utilize relevant concepts and theory supports, or it is based on relevant concepts and theories, and objective consideration, and so on. So the researchers are guided by logical reasoning, and therefore research process, it goes in an orderly manner, and throughout the consistency is maintained and ensured. So having said that, when we think about the process, the various process of research, then it goes something like this. I just derived this diagram figure in order to explain what will be this research process look like. So this is the starting point. We start with an idea. We start with an idea about the problem. So identifying the problem to be researched. This is the first step. So now, for example, I know that in the society, as an economist, I can say that unemployment problem is very high in Nagaland, which is higher than all the states in India. That is a real problem, real socioeconomic problem faced by the people in Nagaland, especially the youth population. Also, we can say that income inequality, it is increasing day by day in our society. So that is also a problem which we can study. And also we can say that the social crime, the crime against women is increasing day by day. That is also a problem which is researchable. Or we need to look into the trade relation among the countries in Asia. So that all those are problems which are researchable. But what I want to say is that unemployment problem exists in India, in Nagaland, and this is Nagaland. This is highest among all the states in the country. So that is a fact. It is based on the data, but that is not a researchable topic. The idea, it is a researchable idea, but the topic itself, unemployment problem in Nagaland, I should say that alone is not sufficient. That is a too broad idea, too general, I should say. So what a researcher should do is that after deciding upon the idea that, oh, this is researchable, and I am very concerned about this problem and youth, especially youth unemployment in Nagaland, so I have to do some research. Why this is happening and what is the extent of this unemployment and who are more affected and what is the impact of this unemployment in our society, economy, and all this. So that is researchable. The idea itself is researchable, but the topic, unemployment problem in Nagaland, that is too broad or too general. So what the problem of a researcher, the first problem is deciding upon the topic. So we need to conceptualize this idea into researchable topics. That is, from a very general idea, we move to the specific and researchable topic. So with this, now from this, what we need to do is identify the possible research problems relating to unemployment. If you have decided to do on youth unemployment, then from there you formulate your objective of study and formulate the research questions and hypotheses. So in order to make it operationalize, your idea to make it operationalize, what you need to do is you have to clearly define, give the statement of the problems, and thereby from there formulate your objective, hypothesis, and research questions. So how do you do that? The whole thing, it is based on certain theory, and it has certain concept which is already being established. And what you need to do is to formulate your research problem. That is the first thing. So and follow objective and hypothesis, what you need to do is literature review. You have to look into the literature. After deciding upon the problem that you want to study, you go through the literature review on the theoretical aspect, theoretical concepts, and empirical study, as well as methodological aspects, and try to find out what is the gap, in the literature, what is the gap in this field, what needs to be done, or how other people in other places or other country, other state have undertaken such a study, so that that will be relevant to my study in my field, in my state. You have to decide upon. So with that, if you can decide that, then this, well, when you decide, when you conceptualize your research problems, objectives, and hypothesis, then ultimately the others will follow. That is sample design, research design, data collection, analysis, and interpretation and report. And you can support the theory, or you can formally generalize some new ideas and contribute to the theory, or theory will support your findings, and this will lead and give a solution to this problem, at least to the government, so that they will adopt certain policy to mitigate the problem. Or you can also generate certain new ideas which needs to be researched further. That is what research process is all about. So when you are very clear with your research problem, objective, hypothesis, and questions, then you are clear. Easily you can move along the path of this research process, and you will reach your target comfortably. Otherwise in the process somewhere you will be in the data collection or sample design or data analysis. Somewhere you'll be stuck, and you will say, what am I doing? What am I researching? That is what you would be wondering yourself, and you would like to give up. So the first thing is you need to be very clear about this. Then if you can research design, if you can do it properly, then the other half you can do it easily, no problem for you. But otherwise there will be confusion, and the end result will be negative, as I've said, and you'll be stepping on the do's of others. Just some duplication or no result at all. That will be the ultimate thing. So you need to be very clear. So in the research process, three basic elements are involved. The first thing is conceptualizing your idea. So idea, unemployment, or income inequality, whatever. And the tools, we have certain tools, instruments, how we can conceptualize the research idea. That is research problems, objective, research questions, and hypothesis. If you can derive it clearly, then this provides a roadmap to you for your research process, and this will provide a guide. It will be a guidance for you, and therefore this needs to be clearly defined. Complete clarity is required. Precise, focus, and sharp. It needs to be, so that this will give the directives of data collection and analysis, which method, how it will go. Everything will be clear from this exercise, so that and you can disseminate the result. So the issues and idea, which are very broad, this needs to be refined and make it narrow, make it researchable topic. Then you will be clear with the group of people to be included in your survey and the methods to be adopted during the data collection, data analysis, and so on. So that is the process. So to get started with the research in social science discipline, what we need to do is first is choose your research topic wisely with a very clear concept. So the first step is identify the concepts and the terms involved in the area that you would like to study. So here, if I choose, as a researcher, I am concerned about the impact of education on employment in income. Anywhere, Nagaland, maybe, or India, or I choose educated youth unemployment in Nagaland. So what are the concepts involved here? Concepts and terms are, I have to be very clear with what is meant by education, employment, income, or if I choose the second topic, then educated, who are educated? And the youth, unemployment, all this I have to be very clear. So how to have a clear concept and terms. Then review of related literature is important. This will help to refine and give a way to analyze the problem. So it will give a way to which method to be adopted in the process. And the next is narrow it down, your topic, your area. You better narrow it down to make it focused, not too narrow, but manageable. Narrow it down. It should not be too broad. Then how to do it? The second topic, I try to narrow it down. So that is how I did it. That is by breaking into smaller components. So here I'm formulating a research title, that is Female Educated Youth Unemployment in Urban Areas in Nagaland. So that is what I am interested to do. So this is more focused, more sharp. So what it indicates is that in my process of research, which data I will need, this involve gender and age. Gender, that is female, age, youth, that is, it is all about age that determine, and the levels of education, and urban area, that is the gender. So that will be the focus of my research. So by breaking into smaller components, you can make it narrow and make it focus. This is very important, making it focus and sharp. And another way of narrowing it down is like educated youth unemployment in Nagaland. So a case study of the Timor district. So I'm narrow it down by geographical areas. So that way you can formulate your research topic. Or another way of doing things, narrowing down the topic is that relationship between variables. When we design our study around this, the relationship between different variables, then this will make the study more specific. You are clear which variables to be covered, in what way they will be covered in the research. So your data collection, your questionnaire, everything will try to capture the variables involved in the research, and everything will be clear from the very beginning. Otherwise, without the very clarity, if you go to make a questionnaire, go to field, come back and try to analyze your data, try to test your hypothesis, then you realize that I have missed out a very important variable. In my survey, I have not collected. What do I do? Can I go back and collect it once again? Wastage of resources, wastage of time, and so on. And also you can narrow it down by taking a shorter time period, narrow the focus. Like instead of taking 3-4 decades, just take 1 or 2 decades of the problem, so that you can make a more focused study. or combination of all these, combination of two or more of all these strategies. This will make your study focus and specific. That is how you narrow down your research topic. That is very important. And now, after deciding upon the topic, what is your next problem? Is that formulation of research problem. So I want to focus a little bit more on this formulation of research problem, since statement of research problem, bringing out the research problem, this is the foundation. This is the core of the research. Research design, this is just like a building blocks. So in the foundation, we lay the resource problem. Okay, it starts with this. So I would like to emphasize a little more. So the first thing is define the problem. How to define the problem? In a statement of problem, when you are giving a research proposal or when you are starting to work on a certain area, you have to give the statement of problem. What am I going to write? What is this? So how am I going to present this? So that is, start with the background. Use evidence to describe and explain the context of the problem. So evidence, the fact that Nagaland is having the highest unemployment rate. So facts are there, you can explain, describe the situation and give the explanation about it. And the relevance, describe why the problem is a matter of concern, why you need to take up, who is going to benefit with this, and the objective. If your conclusion, in your conclusion, the proposed solution to the problem based on your understanding, you can give. So what the key characteristics of a statement of problem? The key characteristics are, it addresses a gap in knowledge. Where there's a gap, where there's a lacuna in the research field or in the literature in this area, you have to find it out, then address the gap in the knowledge. And significant enough, is it significant enough to contribute to the existing body of research? These are the question. And will it lead to further research? If yes, good. And does it render itself to investigation through collection of data? Is it of interest to the researcher? If the topic is not very interested, half-heartedly you started, then you want to give up. Or once you started, you have to spend some more years in the same working on same topic. So if it is not interest to you, then that will not be so fruitful, and that will not be a pleasant thing for you to work on some topic which you are not interested at all. So that has to be taken into consideration. And the skill. Do you have the skill? You want to measure the income inequality, which method would to be applied? Or you want to measure the human development index? Do I have the skill to do such an analysis? Or from where I'll get the help? All this have to be taken into consideration. How much time I have to do it? And what is the resources I have? Can I cover all this area? Or it is beyond my time available and the resources? You have to decide. And the approach towards solving the problem should be ethical. So ethical aspect has to be taken into account. The researcher has to be very sensitive about the social values, moral values of the society, and the concern of the respondents or the society has to be taken into account, and integrity should be maintained at all time. So a researcher, to be a social science researcher, you have to be socially responsible for that. So from a very general problem of interest or subject matter, you move into a specific research problem. So it needs understanding, thorough understanding of the problem. So how will you get all this information? Then you need to have intensive literature review, both conceptual and theoretical, and also empirical studies, literatures, so that you will be clear with what you are going to do, and thereby rephrasing the problem into meaningful terms from the analytical point of view. So an effective statement of problem or problem statement should be concise and concrete. There shouldn't be any thing. So here, what you need to do is that contextualize the problem. So that is what is that? That is, what do we really know? What do we really know? Where and when does the problem arises? Who does the problem affected? Then the attempts to have, what attempts have been made to solve the problem? All these points has to be taken into account. Then describe the precise issue or the problem that the researcher will address. So what do we need to know? And show the relevance of the problem. Why do we need to do it? So what will happen if the problem is not solved? If we don't do it, what will happen? And who will feel the consequences? Does the problem have a wider relevance? All these questions we need to answer and look for these questions, and thereby set the objective of the research. So that is, what will you do to find out this? So when you are selecting the problem, you need to avoid this, the area which are done by others, overdone subjects. So this will be, if you select such a subject, then you'll be just stepping on the do's of others, and you will not contribute to the stock of knowledge. Your contribution will be negative or zero. So do not do this. And controversial problems area. So we need to be very sensitive about this. If it is a controversial problem in the society, then you have to think twice. And the topic should not be, the problems, this should not be too narrow or too broad. So what it implies is that interest of the researcher has to be looked into, magnitude of the problem under consideration, and who is going to benefit, the social premiums or relevance, and the measurement of concepts and the level of expertise that you have, and the availability of data, ethical issues, time, financial resources, and feasibility. All this has to be balanced out. So here the steps in formulation of research problem. That is, area identification. Identify the area. Then what you do is that dissect into small sub areas. Then raise the relevant questions. Then formulate and assess the objectives. So that is what it follows. So the statement of objectives, what the researcher is trying to do. So that is very important because it determines the study design, including sample design, data collection, and all this, the choice of techniques up to the final report writing and dissemination. This is determined by the objectives. So suppose the entire exercise is determined by objectives. So how is it possible, or how is it? So I just cited some few examples for you to understand. So here, suppose if I decide to undertake a topic relating to unemployment. So with that, youth unemployment. So here my objective number one is, this morning I hurriedly formulated, this is not well thought objectives and hypothesis, but just an example I'd like to share. So this morning I put it here. to evaluate objective. My first objective is to evaluate the extent of unemployment among the youth in Nagaland. So how this objective determine my hypothesis? All these are interlinked. So from the statement of problem, unemployment problem exists. So here my objective number 1, and this relating to this, I derive a hypothesis, that is the unemployment problem is increasing more rapidly among female than male over the last 2 decades. So my time period is 2 decades. And what it shows is that this is a time series analysis or time series research. And what kind of data I will be needing, I think secondary data will do, and what kind of analysis I will be following. So I have to look into the growth rate. So which formula to follow to measure the growth rate, maybe component growth analysis, and what kind of research is this? We can say that what happens to the unemployment problem. So this is a descriptive. It describes the situation, so descriptive. And what kind of data will be required? This is quantitative. That is what it follows. Now I adopt the second objective, that is compare the magnitude of youth unemployment across gender, area, age, and by level of education. So that is my objective. So my hypothesis is that unemployment is higher among urban youths, not rural, but urban, and among educated, not uneducated, and it is higher with the female population. So that is my hypothesis. I have to test. So what kind of data? My focus, area of my focus will be in my research. That is area. I have to take into area. I'm talking about urban. Urban is higher than rural, so I have to cover both urban and rural. Gender, male and female, I have to cover. Age, youth also differentiating by age group, maybe, and the level of education, by level of education, among whom the unemployment rate is higher. I can analyze. So this is analytical research method or research type, experimental, and this will be based on primary data collected covering gender across area, gender, age, and by level of education. So all these variables I have to cover in my questionnaire and data collection. Otherwise, I cannot test this hypothesis and I cannot make the objective. And next is to examine people's attitude towards government policy relating to unemployment. So hypothesis, we can think about it, that the people are not satisfied with the government policy, or government policy have no benefit to the people, something like that. We can make it. And what is this? What kind of answer or what kind of data we are going to collect? These are qualitative in nature. So their opinion, their motive, their attitude, their desire, what they desire. So the source of primary data will be followed, and the data will be qualitative in nature, and all this people's attitude, opinion, and what they desire. So like the technique of developing research question is that how you can do, you read literature, as I've said, and you record all the relevant questions and hypotheses and objective, wherever is relevant to your field of study, and select those within the scope of your research, and classify the question in the minor and major, and bring up a you can formulate proper research questions. And hypothesis. What is hypothesis? These are tentative assumptions with reflecting specific problem. So these are logical, or the conclusion or empirical conclusion has to be tested in the end. So importance of hypothesis. Why this needs to be clearly defined, and the importance of hypothesis is that it provides focal point of research. So beyond this, you cannot go. No need to go, but you have to focus on what different variables, what aspect parameters are given in the hypothesis. You have to focus your study on that. And then guide to delimit the area of research. That is how you delimit. This example have been given, and sharpen it. Your focus become sharp. That is very, very important. And it indicates the type of data that you require in the process of research, and indicates the methods and techniques of data collection, data analysis, etc. And here, collecting the data. So sample design. Yeah, I have messed up some. So preparing the research design. Conceptual structure, you have to make conceptualization. We have already discussed to ensure efficiency in terms of collection of information, time and expenditure that we have already discussed, and determine by purpose of your research, what the researcher trying to do, explore to certain problem to gain familiarity or achieve insight into certain problem, or describe, depict, bring out the characteristics of some individuals or some situations, problems, etc., and experimental, or it can be of diagnostic or historical, etc. It goes on depending on what the researcher is trying to do. And the sample design, if we have to talk about it, it will go on another lecture. So I'm just give the points. It can be of probability or non-probability. So which method you will follow, this will be determined by your objective and the hypothesis. So it can be of simple random sampling will do, or systematic sampling, stratified sampling, or area sampling, all this, and non-probability, which are convenience sampling, purposive, judgmental, quota sampling, and all these. So the selection of sample design depends on the nature of the inquiry and the related factors. And the collecting the data. So we know that secondary data as well as primary data are required to have a complete research study. So the primary data, it depends on the survey method, which method you are adopting, depending on the nature and the objective, etc., of your study, and money and time and the desired degree of accuracy that the researcher want for decide upon. So it will be observation method, personal interview, telephonic, etc. Thereafter, tabulation follows, and analysis of data. That is the next step. So data entry and analysis, coding, editing, and tabulation follows, thereby data analysis and testing of hypothesis with different softwares, application like Excel, SPSS, R, which topics this will be covered. This entire topic will be covered by your next lecture by Giri Babu. So I'm not going there. And thereafter, generalization of the interpretation follows, and report writing or thesis. Your thesis, you start writing your thesis. So just in brief, thesis writing, the introductory preliminary pages is followed by the introduction, which is very important. So this introduction part should try to have to convince the reviewer, especially the examiner, that the scholar has given a thought and the topic has been selected, developed in a very tight and researchable manner. So after giving a very thorough examination of the literature, that the researcher have moved logically from known to unknown. That impression you have to give from the introduction part, from the very beginning. Then we followed the main body, which is to be arranged in a logical sequence, break down into identical sections within the chapter and the different chapters. So this has to be arranged in a logical manner. Thereafter, we come to conclusion that gives the summary of the result in a very precise form, but very clearly. And suggestions, when you are giving suggestions, in the end, it has to be based on the findings of the study. Sometimes some scholars, their study is something different and they bring in the suggestions out of nowhere, not based on their findings. So that has to be avoided. And thereafter, appendix follow, technical data, etc. Then we write bibliography. So these things I am not going into detail. So the criteria of a good research is that it should be systematic, logical, empirical, and very important thing is it should be replicable. So the significance of research, the importance of research is that it helps to develop logical habit of thinking and organization, and also solve the operational problems. And this provides a basis for nearly all the government policies in the economic system, and also it gives solution or answers to social and economic problems and their relationship. So that's all I want to share. Thank you.
We'll start with the questionnaire. Like I have earlier, we put forward only 5 questions. So any questions?
Can I ask a question?
First, can I tell you something? Because today I have to attend to my office. I'm at home and I'm going to office, and especially the register has given me in charge in the office. So this becomes a problem to delay for a long period of time. So if you can make it very short, just 1 or 2, or if you have any doubt, you can just mail it to me. I will answer it. Can we do something like that?
Madam, shall we just make it 2 questions?
Can I ask one question? Only one question.
Yeah, just very short. Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
True. Sure.
Okay, madam. Good morning, madam. Your presentation was nice. I just want to know, your topic was research methodology in social science research, but you concentrated more on research, general research. Why you have not spoken more on about social science, impact of social science, and how what are the criteria for social science research to be incorporated? What was the reason that here the component of social science has not been spoken so much by you?
Because in the beginning, I've said that I would like to give an overview of social science research. So the process, the procedure, that is very important for the scholars to know. So I just would like, I decided to speak on that.
Hello.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Ma'am, how to incorporate model and theory in our research?
Pardon?
Ma'am, how to incorporate theory and a model, conceptual model in our research?
We have to, if we are clear with the concept and the theory, then you can easily build a theory, easily build a model. Then the model has to be incorporated to test the hypothesis and to fulfill the objective of the study.
And ma'am, is it necessary to include a theory in every thesis or every research?
Of course, theory, it gives a guidance to the researcher, but sometimes without basic giving much importance on the theory, it goes on, and if the result is generalized, then it contributes to the development of the theory.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Okay, welcome.
Okay.
I think we should cut short. Huh?
Yeah. So one more question is here. This will be the last one here. It has been put by one Sharmila Suresh here. I am often confused with exploratory, descriptive, and empirical. Can you explain, please? Last question.
This descriptive, that is, if the researcher is trying to describe about the situation, what is happening, so those facts, and the empirical, that is based on the what is happening in the field from the field survey. Descriptive can be done based on the even from on the secondary data, but the empirical one has to go to the field and collect the data and present it.
Okay. Thank you. With that, we will end the question hour with the first session. Thank you, madam, so much for your wonderful, and it has been a very interactive session, and then we have learned a lot, and even in the future, especially our department, we will be looking forward to do it more in the future again. Thank you so much for your time and for the presentation.
Welcome, welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Now we will start. We will start with the second session very quickly. Now it is exactly 11:30. The second session is. The topic is research and publication ethics, and then the resource person is Mr. Partha Pratim Bora, Assistant Professor, Debrugurh University, Assam. So let me give a brief highlights about his profile. He is from the Debrugurh University. He did his bachelor degree from Swahid Pupil Pokan College, master's from Dispur University, Assam. He has completed his MPhil and then his PhD from Dispur University. At present, he is working as Assistant Professor, Department of Sociology, Debrugurh University. And then he also worked as guest faculty for teaching in UGC NET coaching in the Department of Sociology, Dispur University, and then work as a guest faculty teaching in UGC NET coaching in Department of Sociology. Okay, now sir, if you are here, the time is given to you. And then like I'm repeating again, this time let us use for question hour, let us use the chat box for the question hour, and then we will do it with 5 questions. Okay, now sir, the time is given to you.
Okay, thank you. I hope I am audible.
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, everyone. Honorable Registrar, St. Joseph University, Academic Dean, St. Joseph University, Senior Resource Persons, Head of the Department of Economics, and other faculty members, and various faculty members, teachers, and all the participants. First of all, I would like to convey my thanks and gratitude to the organizing committee, especially Head of the Department of Economics, Dr. Kumar, sir, for inviting me to share on the topic research and publication ethics. As suggested by Head Department of Economics, although my title was Research and Publication Ethics, rather than specifically emphasizing only on publication ethics, My presentation will be broadly divided into two parts. First part, it will talk about the ethics in research, the various dimensions of ethics in research, and the second part, I will give emphasis on the publication ethics. Before going into detail, let me make one point. As you know, the question of ethics in research is highly dynamic one. So what does it mean? It has been evolving over the years, and it also varies depending on the institutions where we are working, depending on the discipline in which we are working, or the funding agency for which we are doing our research. So it is highly dynamic and evolving one. What I will be sharing here will be mainly the various dimensions of ethics that I have come across and I have studied in the course of my PhD doctoral research that I have recently completed from Tezpur University. But let me make it clear that since it is evolving and dynamic one, it is highly probable that the senior faculties that are here, or the people from the different departments that are here, they may come across different other ethical issues or dilemma. So I hope rather than making it a watertight compartment, or rather than saying that ethics is specific or it is like a fixed one, we need to keep in mind it is highly dynamic and evolving. So having said that, while talking about ethics, or when we talk about the question of ethics in research, especially social science research, as you know, it has not been very old one, especially if we consider the question of publication. When we talk about the ethics, some specific questions that comes to our mind, like when we talk about ethics, what does it actually conveys? Or when we talk about ethics, what is the principles, or what are the principles that we are talking about? Or it can also be the question, who actually determine what should be the specific ethics for the research? Is it we as a researcher? Is it the institution where we are working? Or is it the journal for which we are sending our publication paper? Or is it the funding agency for whom we are working the research? So it is important to know the people whom we are working, or who actually determine what should be the ethical guideline for the research. Then another question that comes to our mind, in whose judgment the particular thing is considered as correct or ethical. Say for instance, what I consider as ethical or correct may not be considered as ethical by some other individual, or by other community, or for that instance by another person from another discipline. So in that context, these specific questions can always in our mind while doing our research. Then, having said that, there can be some other related questions. The questions like, there can be universal principles? There can be universal principles that can be applied across the disciplines? So as I have already mentioned, the ethics or the ethical guideline may vary depending on the nature of disciplines. So then next question will be, do they change over the years, or should they be changing? Say for example, the question of animal rights, the question of ethics related to animals, or when we specifically, if we know the research that are associated with Indian Council of Medical Research. So in such a context, you will have specific guidelines which are specifically meant for doing research related to the animals or like human being or like any other medical purpose. So in that context, we have observed that what was not considered as ethical, say for example, 10 years before, now it may be considered as ethical. So in that context, what I am trying to say here, the question of ethics is changing. Then the last important question, what will happen if a particular professional or if the particular professional is not abiding the ethical guideline? So who will supervise or who will order you to follow the ethical guideline? So is it your supervisor? Is it you yourself that need to take into consider? Or is it your institution? Or is it your funding agency? So that is another important question that can come to our mind while considering the question of ethics. Then, while considering the general concept of ethics, we need to consider who are the stakeholders. We need to see who are the stakeholders in a particular research process. And in the context of ethics, we can divide the stakeholders into three broad categories. The first one is, of course, the research participant or the subjects. And the second one is the researcher himself or the herself. And third one is the funding agency. So these are the three important stakeholders that we need to consider while understanding the question of ethics in research. So let me first briefly discuss the question of ethical issue concerning the research participant. What are the ethical issues or what are the ethical dilemmas that can emerge or that can crop in while doing the research concerning the research participant? So first important thing is the question of collecting information. So as we know, when we collect information from the research participant, there are specific things that we need to keep in mind. So as the whole webinar is about social science research, the most of the examples that I will be giving will be from the social science research. So, and in fact, the ethical guidelines that are followed in the science or in the laboratory are significantly different from what are the ethical guidelines that are followed in the social science research. So, while collecting information, the first question that comes to our mind is the question of informed consent. So, what does it mean? While doing the research or while collecting the information can be collected in various ways. It can be through interview schedule, it can be through questionnaire, it can be through focus group discussion. There can be various tools for data collection. But while collecting information, the first and the foremost ethical thing is that you need to get consent from the participant. And the consent that you are going to collect the information and the information that are going to collect will be solely used for the research purpose, not for the other purpose. So it means that suppose you are doing a particular research, it can be either doctoral research or it can be any research funded by a particular organization. And for that, you are collecting data. That data that you are collecting after informing the participant should be used only for that research. That data should not be used for any other purpose. Say, for example, you are doing a research on the people affected by HIV/AIDS, and you have got the consent from the participant that you can use the data for the research. But after completing the research, you should not reveal the name of the participant or you should not give the information to the media if you are doing that, it will be, you are violating the ethical norms. So it means that the data you are collecting should be only for the research purpose. And in that context, you should have the informed consent from the participant. That is important thing. Secondly, while collecting the data, it may happen that you may be doing research on some of the sensitive issues. As I have already mentioned, the question of HIV/AIDS, or you may be doing research on the drug abuse, or you may be doing research on the sex worker. In such a context, when you are doing research on some of the sensitive issues, it should be keep in mind that identity of the respondent should not be revealed in the research. So in that context, what you can do, you can either give a proxy name, or you can, but the thing is that the identity of the respondent should not be revealed when it is concerning the sensitive issue. And even if it is not sensitive issue, if you are revealing the identity of the respondent, you should take consent from the respondent. Say, for example, I have done research for my research. I have done research for my doctoral research. I have done research on the question of ethnic identity and the class formation among the missing community of Assam. So in that context, there were many issues that have emerged regarding the from the respondents' viewpoints. So it may happen, if I have made the name of the respondent public, they may face some problem in future. So in such a context, it is always important to not to reveal the identity of the respondent. Then after that, the second dimension is the question of providing incentive. So as you know, while talking about the collecting information, another important thing that can come to our mind is providing incentive to the respondent, because it may especially come when you are doing research that are funded by various international organizations like United Nations or World Health Organization. They used to give huge amount of money for the research. And as you know, when you are collecting information, the respondents have spent their valuable time. They have shared their valuable information. So the question may come whether we should provide incentive. The incentive can be the monetary help, or that can be any other help. Now, there is, interestingly, that have related question. So first question is, of course, they have given their valuable time and they have given their valuable information, and it may be logical to provide some incentive. But the question that comes to our mind, if we provide them incentive, is it going to affect the answer that the respondents are going to give? Or is it in a way will affect the answer that the respondent will give to the researcher? So in that context, it can be the dilemma whether to give incentive or not. Of course, the giving incentive may be problematic. If we consider the ethical dilemma, it may be not so problematic if we consider the question of the time or the information that is provided by the informant. Then I have already mentioned the question of confidentiality, the question of harm, the question of sensitive information. Especially in this context, we should always keep in mind that our research should not negatively affect, or our research should not have any harm on the respondent. That is the first and the foremost thing that we should keep in mind, or that we should always engage while doing the research. So it means that if we are not sensitive, if we are not engaged with the question of ethics, So, say for example, we may not know that what is ethical guideline, or we may not know that what should be the ethical guideline that we should follow. And we have done a research and we have published a particular, say for example, book or paper on the basis of that research. And after the publication, the respondent may face problems. Say for example, they may be questioned by the government or the state or by the members of their own community for providing such information. So if we are not conscious during the time of our research, then it may ultimately have negative impact, or it may have problem for the respondent. So it is very much necessary for the researcher to keep in mind the ethical issues that are associated with the research participant. And in that context, while considering the ethical issues for the research participant, we should also keep in mind in the context of preparing questionnaire, interview schedule for the research. So we should not put such question that may have psychological effect on the respondent, or we should not put such question that may have problem with the respondent. And in such a context, what does I want to mean here is each and every context we should engage with the ethical guideline that we as a researcher should follow. After saying that, the next aspect that I want to touch is the question of the researcher. What are the ethical dilemmas, or what are the ethical guidelines that we need to consider with reference to the researcher? The first thing in the context of social science research is that both the researcher as well as respondents belongs to the different socio-cultural background. So I as a researcher belongs to a particular religion, particular community, particular age group, particular gender. And obviously, because of my belongings or because of my identity, I may possess some of the values, prejudices, but that values or the prejudices or the bias that a researcher possesses because of his or her socio-cultural background should not affect the process of research. Simply speaking, the researcher should avoid his biases to influence the process of research. So it means that the very basic concept that all of we know is the question of maintaining objectivity. While maintaining objectivity, we should study a particular thing as a thing in itself. We should not allow our subjective biases. We should not allow our subjective values to influence our research. So first and the foremost thing is the avoiding bias as a researcher. A second important dimension that comes to our mind is the question of deprivation or the question of special treatment. And that question of deprivation or the special treatment comes especially in the context of experimental research. So, as most of you are from the economics background, you perhaps know the research that has been going on by the Nobel laureate, and that are doing by the Nobel laureate Abhijit Banerjee and Esther Duflo. It basically talk about randomized control trials. So, especially in the context of poverty alleviation programs. So, the randomized control trials basically talk about how we will have the monetary support, or how the incentives can, simply speaking or commonsensically speaking, how the incentive or the monetary support can help in alleviating poverty. That is especially in the context of experimental research. So in the experimental research, what we do, we will provide some treatment for a particular group, which is known as experimental group, and another group will not provide any treatment. That is a control group. So now in that context, various ethical issues emerge. So say for example, take the example of COVID vaccine. While in the context of COVID vaccine, how they did the experiment, they have experimented with a specific group of people. And for other group of people, they have not given the vaccine. Now the first question, whether we should use the vaccine for experimentation without knowing its efficacy. But as you know, in medical science, there are various procedures. First, they will use in case of animals or the guinea pig, then they will use in the context of human being. But before it is used in the context of human being, we are not sure what effect the medicine or the vaccine will have for the human population. Will it be positive or negative? So if it has negative, then obviously we should not have used it. But if we are not using it, we will not know whether the vaccine will have positive or negative result. So in the experimental stage itself, there is a dilemma whether to use it or not. That is the first dilemma. Then second dilemma, if say for example it has a positive effect, then if it has a positive effect, why we have used the treatment only for the specific group of people, not for the another section of the people? Why we are depriving the section of the people whom we are not giving the vaccine? So in that context, the ethical dilemma may always arise. The ethical dilemma may always arise, especially in case of experimental research, which is associated with providing specific treatment. Now, in a similar case, we can take the example of randomized control trial in case of poverty alleviation. Say, for example, in the randomized control trial, they give small loan to a section of population to see whether it can alleviate poverty or not. So in that context, the question obviously emerges, why we are giving loan to only to the specific group of people, not for all section of the population. So these are the questions that always comes to our mind, ethical question, but ultimately we should decide depending on the benefit or the long-term benefit that the community or the human population can have based on that research. Then the next dimension regarding the ethics in case of concerning the researcher is the using appropriate research methodology. The first resource person, ma'am, have nicely pointed out the various dimensions of research process. In this context, what I want to say here regarding the ethical question of research methodology, we should have proper training, or we should take the proper supervision so that we can use appropriate research methodology for the research purpose. Why appropriate research methodology is ethically important? Because I can give one example of sample design. When we are selecting the sample for the research, if we are not using appropriate research methodology, then it may happen that we are not selecting the actual sample, or we may not have the actual picture or the actual research outcome. So that is one thing. Then again, it can also associated with the designing of research design, designing of the research questionnaire, interview schedule. So in all these aspects, it is always important to have appropriate research methodology. And if we are not adopting appropriate research methodology, it is ethically wrong because it will not give the true result, or it will give a distorted picture of our research. The next aspect is the question of incorrect reporting. So this aspect is one of the common ethical aspects that come across in the various disciplines. So it is observed that there are various examples where the researcher provided a wrong report in order to fulfill some of his or her interest or vested interest. So what does it mean? Although the field experience is different, the report that is given by the researcher is not actually reflecting the field experience. The researcher have manipulated the data in order to fulfill his or her vested interest. And that is one of the common ethical problem that is reported in case of research. And we as a researcher should always keep in mind that we should not have incorrect reporting of the research. Rather than having an incorrect reporting, our report should be guided by the field experience, or our report should be guided actually by the data that we have collected from the field. These are the various dimensions, or these are the various ethical questions that can be associated with the question of ethics with reference to the researcher. Then the third dimension is the ethical issue concerning the sponsoring agencies, or concerning the sponsoring organizations. So now what we have come across is that especially after doctoral research or after completion of doctoral research, many of us used to go for various research projects that are funded by various organizations. The organizations can be of the different natures. They can be the organizations. There can be some organizations that are state-run. There can be some private organization, or there can be some international organizations. Depending on the nature of organizations, they will have different ethical guidelines. So it means that the WHO or World Health Organization will have defined ethical guideline. Then Indian Council of Medical Research, they will have defined ethical guideline. Or Indian Council of Social Science Research, they will have defined ethical guideline. And depending on the nature of funding organization that you are working, you need to know what are the ethical guidelines that you need to follow while doing the research from that funded by that particular or specific organization. In that context, the one important dimension is the restrictions that are imposed by the funding organizations for doing the research. So one thing that all of us know, that funding is not a apolitical work. So state or any other organization, they fund your research and there is a political purpose. It may be hidden agenda or it may be open agenda. They have a political agenda, and that political agenda may not be explicit. They may be implicit, but they have an agenda. One agenda, of course, it can be collecting information, but it can have some other agenda. And while doing the research, we should always keep in mind the restrictions that are imposed by the funding organizations, and do this restriction in a way or in any way going to affect the ethics of the community or ethics of the any social community. And it is especially important when we are doing research which is funded by international organization. So say for example, a particular international organization that is based in USA may not be sensitive to the values that are prevalent in the tribal societies in Northeast India. So while doing the research, because we belong to this society, we know what are the values or what are the ethical values or moral values that are followed by the members of the tribal societies in Northeast India. So if we are doing a research, we should always keep in mind that our research should not affect the values or will not harm the values that are followed by the tribal societies in Northeast India. So in that context, we should be ethically conscious while doing the research that is funded by international organization. So another interesting example that I can give, especially in the context of patent. So as you know, now there are a lot of debate regarding the patent for medicine. So there are large number of herbal plants that are found in India that have medicinal values. So in that context, while publishing the data about that value of that plant or the value of that herbal plant, we should always keep in mind that that should not affect the commercial viability of the plant in the long run, or that should not be exploited by the people from outside the country. So these are some of the ethical issues that we should keep in mind regarding the sponsoring organization. And we should also keep in mind that the data that we are providing to the sponsoring organization should not be misused. So it may happen that the data that we are providing, it may happen that we are funded by a particular organization and the data that we have provided is actually harming the community. That should not happen. So we should always keep in mind that the research that we are doing for the particular funding organization, the data should not be used or data should not be misused by the funding organization. These are some of the important ethical dilemmas that are associated with the data that is mainly for the primary data. Then from the next aspect, the things that I will be discussing will be related to the publication ethics. So first, in that context, let me discuss the ethical issue concerning the secondary data. As I have already mentioned, the ethical issues associated with the respondent, researcher, as well as sponsoring organization. Then, in research, it may be necessary to use the secondary data for our research purpose. And while using the secondary data, it is always important to follow proper citation and referencing method so that we should not have plagiarism. And the plagiarism or the question of plagiarism is important question, especially in the context of ethics in the use of secondary data. Now, as you know, as most of you know, there are various softwares that are used to detect the question of plagiarism. So plagiarism, it basically, or simply speaking, it means you are using the data, you are using the information that is published by the another person without proper acknowledgement of the first author. So if you say, for example, I have used the data that is published by the person, say Y. So when I am using the data that is published by Y, I have to give the proper citation or proper referencing. And in that context, there can be various ways. So people may say that I have not used his language, I have used only his idea. Even if you are using the idea, then you have to give the reference and citation. So citation or a reference does not mean that you will cite only if you are using his language or only if you are quoting his sentence. Even if you are influenced by the data, even if you are influenced by his idea, you have to give proper acknowledgement. And in that context, as you know, the difference between quotation and the reference. If you are directly quoting from another person, you have to give a proper quotation method. And then there is another important thing. If you are using substantial data, so in most of the cases, we can have the reference and citation. But if you are using substantial data from the particular research, you have to get consent. Say, for example, a person have collected data regarding the displacement of tribal in Northeast India because of development projects. And now I want to write a paper based on that data. So in that context, because I will be using substantial amount of data from the person who have already collected the data, only the citation or reference will not do. I have to get the consent because I will be using substantial amount of data from that person. So if we have using the small amount of idea, or if we have using small amount of quotation, then reference and citation will do. But if we are using the substantial amount of data, we have to take consent from the researcher. So these are important questions, especially in the context ethics in use of secondary data. The next dimension that I want to mention is the question of duplicate publication. So when we talk about the publication ethics, the first is, of course, the question of plagiarism. As you know, the first is that, as I have already mentioned, we have to have the proper citation, referencing, as well as have the consent. Then the next important thing is the question of duplicate publication and the salami slicing. So what does the duplicate publication means? Sometimes we publish two things which are identical. So we should not publish two things which are identical in the two or more paper without proper reference. Say, for example, I have published a paper, and that publication as a paper should not be incorporated in a book without getting proper consent, without having proper acknowledgement, even if it is my own work. So it means that a researcher cannot publish the same thing twice. And of course, there are various guidelines, and it is the organization, it is the publication house that decide what are the guidelines that should be followed. But the main crux of the idea is that duplicate publication, it means that you cannot publish the same thing twice. Even if it is the book or publication paper, it cannot be published twice. But in that context, there can be one issue. Say, for example, you are publishing, say, for example, I'm doing a research on like problem of aging in Assam. What are the problems that are faced by the old age people in Assam? So it may happen that I have done 2 publications based on that research. It may happen that in second publication, I may need to use 1 or 2 ideas from the first paper in order to substantiate a particular argument. So in that context, what we need to do, if we are using 1 or 2 ideas, then we have to properly refer to the first paper from which we are using that idea. But it should not be completely the repetition of the first paper. So people may also come in dilemma. Say, for example, I have a publication which is not available online. Can we publish it in another journal which is available online? The answer is strictly no. Even if it is not available in the online, even if you have published in a different mode, you cannot publish the same thing twice. So that is the question of duplicate publication. And now, of course, there are software that can detect whether the work is earlier published or not. But as you know, there are some limitations with the softwares, like the softwares can detect only those things which are available on the net. It will not detect the things that are not available on the net. The second important thing that comes to our mind is the question of salami slicing or the question of divided publication. So the question of salami slicing, the word that comes from the slice of a cake. So what does commonsensically means? Say, for example, we have a birthday cake and we divided it into different shape. We cut it into different shape. One is square, one is rectangle, one is triangle, and we gave the 3 slices of cake to the 3 individuals. So even if the cakes are of different shapes, but it is ultimately the cake. The taste will be same, the flavor will be same, the ingredient will be same. So it is ultimately the cake. So even if the shape is different, but ultimately it is the cake which are from the same cake which we have used. So from that, the idea of salami slicing comes. So it means that while publishing a particular research, we should not divide into smaller parts for getting more publication. If the research can be published in a single form, so it means that if you can publish your research in the salami slicing, it means that if you can publish your research work in a single paper or the single book, it should not be divided into 2 or more paper or 2 or more books only for sake of increasing your publication. That is the basic idea of salami slicing. And of course, there are various debates. Of course, there are various questions regarding the viability or the feasibility of such research. So it may be, there can be some research that was done for a substantially long period of time after collecting huge amount of data, and that may not be possible to publish in a single paper or in a single book. So there are debates or there are dilemmas. But the salami slicing, the idea of salami slicing, it means that the research need to be published in a single form if it can be done. Then what are the challenges that are associated with the publication ethics? So, as you know, if we do not follow the publication ethics, there can be some challenges that we need to face. The first, of course, if we do not follow the publication ethics, then it may harm the research or the societal interest. So say for example, if you are revealing the identity of the respondent in some sensitive issues, it will go against the societal interest. So in that context, we should always follow the publication ethics so that it should not affect the societal or the research interest. Then the other important thing that we can keep in mind regarding the distortion of data, regarding the publication ethics, we should not distort the data regarding the publication. Then we should have planned analysis. While doing the research, it should not be unplanned. It should not be like that we have started a research and over a period of time we have changed our methodology, we have changed our objective. That should not happen. The research should be properly planned so that there will not be any issues or any ethical issues in the time of publication. The next thing then, if there are lot of issues or lot of ethical issues regarding the publication, then why these ethical issues emerge? So you perhaps know there are very well-known scholars that are caught in the issues of plagiarism. So then why does issues emerge? You perhaps come across sometimes even the doctoral research is rejected because in the later period of time the plagiarism was found. It is because the large number of competition, the environment is such that either you publish or perish. If you cannot publish, you are not able to survive in the academic environment. In such a competition, when there is a high demand for publication, it may happen, there is a high possibility of having plagiarized work, because most of the cases we may not able to give sufficient amount of time that is required for the research, and ultimately it led to the plagiarism or violation of publication ethics. So even if there is lot of competition, even if there is lot of pressure for publication, we should always follow the ethical guideline. That it should not happen that the pressure should not impact or it should not influence the violation of the publication ethics. And the sorry state of affairs is that it is observed that more than 5% of the published paper in the various, approximately it is said that more than 5% of the published paper in the scientific literature is one way or another way they are plagiarized. Even the data is confusing, but the various journals says that almost approximately more than 5% is plagiarized. So it is highly problematic. Then who will decide or who will have control over this? So as you know now, even the University Grant Commission have come up with the measures to curb plagiarism. They have the guideline, so it is available in the UGC website. So it is always best to refer to that guideline, especially in the context of publication ethics. Then in that context, I want to mention one interesting point, which is also known as Ingelfinger rule. So what does the Ingelfinger rule means? There was a journal called New England Journal of Medicine, and the editor of the journal, St.Joseph Ingelfinger, in 1969, he mentions that the manuscript that will be considered for publication only if it is not submitted or published elsewhere. Now you have come across this specific statement is given in most of the journals. And this specific statement was for the first time used by the Joseph Ingelfinger in 1969 in his New England Journal of Medicine. So that we always should be keep in mind that if we are submitting a paper, that should not be submitted or published in any other journal. And having touched this aspect, as there are many issues, as there are many debates that are associated with the publication ethics or ethics in general, and it is not possible to cover all, each and everything. But having broadly touched few of these points, what I want to mention at last is that obviously there will be dilemma, obviously there will be debate. What will be considered as ethical by me may not be considered as ethical by another researcher. So the question of ethics, it can be learned over the period of time by practicing, by our engagement with the ethical issues. Unless we engage ourselves with the values, unless we engage ourselves with the ethics, we will not able to follow the ethical guideline. So we should always be ethically conscious while doing the research. Then we should also have knowledge on the available guideline. And say, for example, your organization, your funding organization, even University Grant Commission, they have the ethical guideline. We should be aware of that. And we should also aware of the nature of punishment. Say, for example, now UGC says that if you have specific amount of public plagiarism, even your jobs can be taken away. So we should always consciously aware of these issues. Then I think we'll able to solve the various ethical dilemma that may be faced in the process of research. With this, I will stop here. I would like to thank the organizing committee. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. That is a very important presentation, which is so much needed by the present research scholars. And now we will start with the questionnaire, and then let the questionnaire questions be at 5 questions at the maximum. Either ask or type it in the chat box. I think
there is no question. If they have question, they can also mail me.
Yeah.
Okay, my mail ID is bora.parthapotim@gmail.com. bora.parthapotim PARTHAPRATIM bora.parthapotim@gmail.com. So if you have any query, you can also mail me.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir. So
thank you very much. Thank you.
That is, it was a very wonderful presentation, and then especially for the research scholars for pointing out all the awareness while doing the research, so that we will not make a mistake. Thank you so much. And then in the future, I also believe that you will continue to help our department. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, it's going to be 12:30 exactly. We will start with the third session, and then Dr. Kerry Papu M. He is not a new person to our department. He's always there with the economics department. And then our HOD has already introduced briefly, but he is a professor at Durham University in the Department of Economics. He completed his PhD from the University of Hyderabad. Apart from that, he has already completed his based MPhil before and then already qualified UGC NET as well as UGC RGNF. And then he has also published so many articles in different journals as well as so many books, which is very difficult to mention all of this. So we'll start with the second session. Sir, Dr. Gary Babu, I hope you are ready.
Yes.
So now the time is given to you.
Yes. Good afternoon. Thank you, Seren. Good afternoon to everyone. I think scholars only, but there are many doctors and many faculty members are there. So very happy to see all. So far already we discussed many, I think Madam Kilangla as well as the present speaker Partha Pratima Bora. They already discussed about what to do, what not to do in research, and what is the research and how to design the research, how to set the problems, what is the methodology, everything discussed Ma'am Kalangla, and what not to do in research, mainly the plagiarism or whatever ethics, this already we discussed. But now we'd like to, I think I given a topic application of statistical tools. So I'm not very strong in technically, particularly run units are taking class in SPS this one, but I will give the hints or steps wise how we can do experiments or how we can do the practices. So is it visible?
Yes, sir. It is.
Yes. The topic is application of statistical tools in social science research. So I am Professor Giri Babu. I was there in Nagaland last 14 years and recently I joined here in Mizoram University as a professor. You can reach me at giribabum@mjdu.edu.in. So before entering the practicals, mainly you can say practices. So already some discussions was there, Ma'am Kalangla was discussed, but again we'll go through little. So what do you mean by research and what is the basic research? Mainly you can see here the research which is done by knowledge enhancement. Why today we are doing mainly after completing your master, even within the master also. MA level also people are writing dissertations, project works, even graduation level also project works they are doing. So mainly they are doing a lot of research to enhance the knowledge, and the research which does not have immediate commercial potential. Mainly the welfare of the human, animal and plant is called a basic research, what today we are talking about. What is the main motivation of the doing research? The main motivation is to expand the man's knowledge, not to create and invent something. According to Travers, the basic research is designed to add to an organized body of scientific knowledge and does not necessarily produce results in immediate practical value. So based on that, maybe it takes some times, maybe some master graduation, they'll take some 3 years, master they'll take 2 years. MPhil they'll take 1.5 years, 2 years, and PhD they'll take 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, even sometime extension, maybe whatever. So under this research, what is meant by applied research? The applied research is designed to solve the practical problem of a modern world. Today we are talking about many applied research were taking place rather than to acquire knowledge for knowledge's sake. Many people wants to know about that. So what is happening in the system? What is happening in society? What is happening? For example, nowadays, our Honorable Prime Minister is telling about the government is not having business to do business. It means we have to search our own employment. Already Madam Kalangla told there is an unemployment rate is increasing mainly during the pandemic. It crosses 35%. So in this knowledge, how you are going to do your own research to find your own jobs. So based on that, now they want to do monetize about the value of 6 lakh crores. It means they're going to the disinvestment or privatization of the state-owned companies. It means that I think in future, though, getting employment, government job mainly, it's very difficult. So basis of that, it focuses on analysis and solving social and real life problems, mainly what you're going to face. This research is generally conducted in lower scale basis. Based on that, whether you're taking the cross-section data, whether you're taking the time series data, whether you're taking the panel data, what you're going to do according to the taking the problem or taking the topic, the under whom you're working, this all I think many factors determines. So based on that, According to Han, the applied research is an investigation, mainly you can say like the quote unquote investigation for ways of using the scientific knowledge to solve the practical problems. Today we're talking about the gender inequality, today we're talking unemployment, today we're talking about chronic poverty, today we're talking about migration, today there are many social issues or many economic issues are taking place. To learn everything, I think to know the situation, to know the system, what is happening, that I think we are going to do the applied research. For example, improve the agricultural crop production, treat or cure specific diseases, improve the energy efficiency of homes. The many problems like the how we are going to talk about that. Earlier we talked about the India agriculture is not in position to compete or is not in position to feed the survival nature. So now we are talking about surplus commodities. We are talking about the buffer stock we are having. We already meet the sustainable agriculture, sustainable development, mainly to meet the needs of present generation without compromising futures. So these all things I think how we are going to do the research mainly at a grassroots level. How can communicating among the workers in lowest companies can be improved? These all things I think called applied research. And under applied research, there is two types of research we have. One is problem-oriented research and problem-solving research. The research is done by the industry apex body for sorting out the problem faced by all the companies. So for example, someone coming to your home delivery, I think you can they'll ask, so how, please buy my product, and after buying product, they'll ask again what is the satisfaction level. So now, for example, the branded companies like Sony or whatever, you can select the many things. So based on that here, the research mainly in agriculture, process food development or export development authority, the conduct regular research for the benefits of agri-industry, where the location mainly where the agriculture production was taking place and where they can set up the agro-based industry, the agri-processing industry. For example, Northeast region is a very rich potential to cultivate the horticulture. So for that, I think you can, there are more potentials to set up the many agro-based industries in Northeast regions. So based on that, the other one is problem solving research. This type of research is done by the individual company for the problem faced by each. The marketing research is applied research. For example, LG company or Sony company or many other branded companies, they used to take the survey from the people about their customer satisfaction, where we can improve and what are the suggestions like this. Based on that, this is also another important research. Mainly these days, I'm getting the many major management students, they're doing regarding the customer satisfaction about the branded goods. So based on that, I think what topic we are selecting, what area we are choosing, under whom we are working, what is our supervised specialization, these all are determining factors. And after getting the data information, mainly you can say like the cross-section data, field survey, particularly people are visiting the research areas, getting the lot of data or samples, many different varieties of samples like simple sampling, random sampling, proportional random sampling, or purposive sampling, or snowfalls. There are many sampling methods we have. I don't know, maybe the experts or other persons are discussed or not, but once we're getting the data information, how we are going to make the effective data analysis. With that one, we are going to make, I think you can select many types of research is there. I'm not going to talk about this already, madam. So I seen that there no, the Ma'am Kalangla is talking about the qualitative research and quantitative research. Mainly, I'm going to skip this one. But after getting the data information from the field survey or even the cross section or data time series data, maybe you can say banking information, banking data, or capital market, or stocks, or shares, or debentures, or you can select the other time series data. What we have. After that, I think you have to do some techniques mainly to decorate. Mainly, you can select to get the accurate information or reliable information regarding the research problems. So based on that, we are using the many statistical methods. Maybe you can select nowadays everyone, even social sciences, even either economics or political science or sociology or anthropology or whatever. The many departments they're using applying the minimum basic statistics. So based on here mainly the statistical methods and tools. The statistics in the science of learning from the data and of measuring, controlling, and communicating mainly uncertainty conditions, and thereby provides the navigation essential for the controlling the course of scientific and societal advances. Today we are using the statistical method, maybe inferential statistics or whatever the other time series statistics, whatever. So based on that here, the statistical method can be used to summarize or describe a collection of data. The mainly nowadays everyone doing the data information, whether qualitative or quantitative. It involves in carrying out a study, include planning, designing, collecting data, analyzing, drawing meaningful interpretation, and reporting of the research findings. These are the major things what we are going to do with the statistics. But today my topic is actually application, how we are going to do the application. I'm going to take the SPSS package money particularly, though I am not no online teaching, but here we are talking about how we can take the step by step to run the program, particularly the to run whatever you can say statistic, you have the descriptive or explore, or you can say different things we are going to learn. So based on that, why you had to use the statistical tools, the statistical analysis giving meaning to the meaningless numbers, thereby breathing life into a lifeless data. So for example, once we get the data information, I have the many data, cross-section data, we have around some 8 villages. So if we say giving to someone, I think they will not understand. So based on that, how we are going to bring it in the preferential place is safe. So based on that here, the meaning that gives a meaning to the meaningless number, and thereby breathing life into the lifeless data. The results and inferences are precise only in proper statistical tests are used. What you're going to test, according to, for example, there are many tests. We have parametric, non-parametric, or you can say inferential data, descriptive statistic, regression, correlation, ANOVA, chi-square test. There are many tests we have. I think now according to the topic, according to the data, what you're going to gather from the field is going to be very useful. So based on that, knowledge in statistics provides you with the necessary tools and conceptual foundation in quantitative reasoning to extract information intelligently from the sea of data. Whatever you're going to gather a bunch, there's a sea of data, means a used data, how we're going to make it the meaningless or meaningful, or you can say like the life. So based on that, the statistical method analysis are often used to communicate the research findings and to support the hypothesis, whatever you're going to take as a null hypothesis, whether accepted or rejected. So based on that, give credibility to research methodology and conclusion. The use of statistics will guide researchers in research for the proper characterization, summarization, presentation, interpretation of the result of the research. So based on that, mainly now, particularly social services, particularly like the economics or commerce or management, or even sociology, political science, there are many other departments also. They're using now everywhere they're using the statistical tools to apply, particularly in the getting the information or presenting the interpretation of the results of the research. So based on that, applications of statistical tools and social science research with the help of SPSS. I don't know how many participants are having the SPSS package, whether you can have the 10 person or 11 person or 60. Yes.
Sir, your PPT is not moving, sir. We haven't seen any of the slide.
PPT is not moving.
Yes, sir. We have written in chat also.
Okay.
Sir, we didn't see as a single slide, sir.
Net is working. Still not moving.
No, sir. The slide is not visible, sir. Only your the folders are visible, sir. You are accessing to folders.
Okay. So now,
No, sir.
maybe network.
Sir, once you stop screen sharing, then sir again start screen sharing.
Yes, that I can do now. Now coming.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So now visible, sir.
Okay,
So
thank you. Anyhow,
kindly
yeah.
share these PPTs on group also, sir. We didn't.
Yes, sure, sure. So I'm going to send to the organizers. Anyhow, they're going to give.
Yes, sir.
Yes, this is the statistical methods. What is the importance of statistical methods? And now we are going to do the applications, how we are going to run the program. Mainly, we can select, I don't know how many students, how many scholars are having the data. And they can, in case if they have the SPS package, mainly the St. Joseph University, I already given the software, maybe your head of the report, mainly this deposit converter having. But those who are not having also, I think they can get it from their university or colleges. So any version, like SPS 10th version, 11th version, or 16th version, or 23rd, latest 23rd version also available. I think you can do any one, either IBM or any other package. So now, so SPSS, I think you know the meaning of SPSS. Originally, we used to talk statistical package for the social sciences. Now you can say like this is statistical product and service solutions. One of the most popular statistical package which can perform highly complex data manipulation and analysis, the simple instructions, the simple techniques, you can use it. Anyone, even the graduate level or master level or MPhil level or PhD level also they can use. Even the faculty also, in case they're not knowing about the spaces, they can do it with simple steps for how I'm going to do this. Here, I think opening of SPSS, how we are going to open, maybe all the other two lectures we already discussed the theoretical part, how the research is going to do and how we can do the what to do, what not to do. But here too, we're going to do some application. I think you can write down in the stepwise also. Otherwise, I'm going to share this PPT to all the organizers. They're going to share it also. Mainly the opening SPSS, in case we have the package, simply the top of the main windows are in the title bar. Mainly you can see here, which shows SPSS icon and three windows, mainly three Windows buttons. You can select the raising, minimizing, closing. The window control button have similar functions. Mainly you can select, once you open the data editor, you can see the data view and variable view. We can find both. And data view, we can enter the data, whatever you have the raw data, particularly collecting from the field survey, you can enter. The variable view, we can give particularly the variable names, what it means that the particularly data, whatever the marks, age, gender, or you can select income, occupation, income, family size, whatever. You're going to give the variable view the titles, and the data view, so you can enter the data. And here you can see the data means mainly you can select data editor menu bar, and the toolbar also we can find. This is the symbols what we can see once you enter the SPSS package. For example, I can give the data also, some data we can see here. The students of Mizoram, 40 students, the females and male students marks are there. The data you are about to analyze have been collected from the exam given 40 students in an interactive statistics course. The half of the students in the class were female and half of the, it means 20 students are male and 20 students are female. The marks they given aggregate marks after completing the course. And these marks I'm going to enter in variables. Mainly you can select data variable or defining variables. The mainly here, the stepwise you can see here, the click on the variable view, already I shown here, you can find here the variable view. At the bottom of the data editor window, the second one, enter a new variable name, whatever you want to give, like mask, name of the candidate, or whatever you can select, or marks, or gender, or you can select age, or education level, whatever the data we have, you can enter. And there is a marks variable type is there. There is a numbering, commas, dots. Mainly you can select, there are two. One is a numeric value and string variable is there. In case we are writing, you are entering the data in the form of number, that is called numeric, or if you are going to type in the form of letters, that is a string variable. So based on that, in case string variable, you can see here the last one, you can click on that. And numeric, the first one is numeric. So based on that here, the enter new variable name in the column name and press the enter key on the keyboard. The variable name must be begin with the letter and cannot end with the period. So based on that, after entering the name, the different values, what are the type, width, how many letters we have. The way, for example, sometimes we are going to enter the question also, it will take a lot of space. That I have to give the width also, how many width we have to give, whether 8 or 10 or 11 or 12, you can find here width. And in case, for example, decimals, for example, sometimes rupees or price, or sometimes like dates, different data we have, that we can give the decimals also, or you can go here, the date also. Once you enter the date, click here, the date format will come. So this is how you're going to enter mainly with the variable name. And here the other one is data name, data enter, means defining the variables. Here in our example, given like we have two variables like marks and sex or gender. One is a numeric, other one is categorical, that is considered string variable. For the categorical variable, click on the radio button for string. I think already I told in the variable type dialog box. To define possible values, the variable, the gender or sex, male for M or female for F, I'm going to just given the two digit only, two, I can select single letter. Instead of writing the male, M-A-L-E, or female, like all things, you can use only just codes like male and female. Click on the value cell in the row for the variables. Enter each value with the corresponding label, and then click and add button. I think whatever you want to give, add button you can give. For example, once value is M, label is male. Value is F, label is female. Value is age, A, and female. Instead of writing all the names, particularly topic titles, you can give the codes also. So based on that, for giving coding, I think you know the data processing, how we are going to give coding is very important. So based on that, here also is important. Instead of writing the full titles of the, you can select that whatever the data you're going to get, you can use the code also. So that is, I think, how you're going to enter the names or whatever the data codings. And here the data we already enter, mainly can select here I given the marks and I given the genders. Mainly based on that, the enter the data, switch for variables view to data view. Mainly you can enter the data. I think you can see orange mark. Once you enter the data, we can get the flow, means chart, particularly the sheet will get. So there you have to enter the data information, whatever you have. So here all the raw data you can enter. After that, I think whatever maybe you can use the entire sheet also. So after that, we can use what data is reliable, what data is useful, what data is important for your analysis part. So based on that, the data, the enter data switch from variable view to data view. The data view windows is the grid with rows corresponding to subject or cases, and columns corresponding to the variables like marks and sex in our case. Mainly what I given the data, two types of data only, particularly one is the string variable, other one is the numeric variable. The cells in the spreadsheet that contains only data values, they cannot contain formulas. Here I am not giving any formulas, only the numbers are given. The enter the value for all the cases, for example, 1, the data values are not recorded until you are press enter. Mainly once we are having the data, maybe you can get the sample size, maybe 400 or 500 also you can enter the data. So maybe village wise also you can enter the data. And the remaining whatever the data we collected from the field survey or even the secondary data, mainly can select the time series data also you can enter. That is how we are going to enter the data as well as data view and variable view. And here, so after getting the data information, because sometimes the string variable or you can select the names we discussed, that if you want to do any analysis part or any regression or correlation, whatever, we have to convert into the numeric values. So based on that, how we are going to recode? How we are going to recode the string variable, converting string variable to the numeric values? So for example, we have the dummy independent and dummy variables. For example, taking the discrete choice. So what is the choice? Mainly, for example, taking male equal to 1, female equal to 2, or male equal to 0, female equal to 1, or you can select if you like ice cream, yes, if you don't like, no, 0, like whatever you have, that you can convert into the different. So based on here, how you're going to recode the string variable into the numeric value. So based on that here, mainly in case we want to recode, since I given the sex in the form of string variable, that is MF. So I want to convert into the 1 or 0, or 1 and 2, or 1 and 0. So based on the, in case we want to convert in the string to numeric value, here you can give the recoding in the same variable. For example, Same line, same column, if you want to do, this is the recording variables in the same variable. Suppose, what is the steps, how we can do it? Suppose that the categorical variables, sex needs to be recorded as a numeric value. Some tools will not work with the categorical data by assuming f equal to 0, m equal to 1. That I want to convert into the numeric value. To code into the same variable in the same column, how we can do the stepwise? The first, select the transform. You can see the title bar, I think, where you can see here. The transform here. So we can go to transform. You can go to transform, recode into the same variable, double click on the variable you want to recode. Maybe you can select gender or sex, what you're going to do with the codes, what already pre-decided to give, either 0 or 1. And select old and new values, whatever you want to go. For example, here you can see the second picture. Though I given value m, earlier I given m, now I want to make it into 1. So once we give the m 1, the left side we have to give m, right side value you have to give 1 or whatever, you can select 0, and just immediately you can add, it will come m with arrow mark 1. Similarly, after that again you are going to give f, here the value is 0, add, automatically f is with the arrow mark 0 will come. Then we have to go to continue, then okay, automatically the string variable converted into the numeric value. So I think those who are having the SPS package, they can do it on now simultaneous also. So based on that, in case we are not having the package, or if we are not in position to do it now itself, you can listen. After that, you can practice also with the procedure, so same steps. So based on that, once you can give the old and new values dialog box, when you have indicated all the recode instruction, then click OK here. This is the OK button to have SPS execute your instruction, then you will get the results. So that is one. In case, for example, you don't want to disturb the string variable, you want to convert the same thing in different columns, recording to the different variables. So mainly the same, but here now we can select different, particularly you can select where different column also can do it. Here the select transform, recode into different variables, double click on the variables you want to record, marks, and write the name and the label in the new variable grades. Click the change. Mainly, for example, I have the marks. I want to make the grades. So how you're going to do the grades, particularly here, the marks, even the same, even sex also, for example, gender also, you can do it the same variable. Maybe we get the different variable, the same procedures will be there like earlier what you have. Instead of recording the same variable one and recording to the different variable, I think you can get the same as different columns. But here mainly you can see the converting to grades in different columns. Mainly, for example, the marks I want to convert into different codes like the first grade, A plus grade, B plus grade, C plus grade, even fail mark, D grade if I want to give. So because I have 80 students or 40 students I have, even you can say like, if you have many students also, how we're going to convert. Particularly today we can say CBCS, we are having the grading systems. So for that, once you enter the marks and converting it to the grades is a very easy procedures with the help of SPSS. So based on that here, the select the transform, recode into the different variables, double click on the variables you want to recode and write the name of the label. Maybe you are going to make the grade and click the change. You can see here, the particularly after grading everything, click change is there, then automatically will means the things will come. At the same time, here, for example, the old and new values is there. After changing here grades, you have to click change. So whatever the grades you want to give, whatever the numbers you want to give. So with the numbers, we can make it in the ranges wise. See, for example, here the recode is the different variables, old and new values. The values, you can give the range, maybe for example, 75 to 85, 1 grade, 70 to 75, 1 grade, 65 to 60, 1 grade, 59 to 61 grade. Based on that here, there are many grades we have that we can make it A plus, A double plus, A plus A, B plus B, C plus C, whatever. You can say on the base of range you want to give. For example, mainly in the when you are making the income levels, though those who are earning more than 50,000 per month, that we had to give some maybe one grade. 40 to 50,000 per year or per month, or 30 to 35,000, or 25 to 20,000. So based on that here, mainly how you're going to convert. You are going to instead of you can use alphabets, you can use the numeric also. So based on that, when you're going to get the descriptive statistics, the average percentages, easily you can get it. How many numbers are under 1? How many numbers under 2? How many numbers under 3? It means the range, how much range you are given the income distribution. Here to are given the marks, even income distribution, per capita distribution, per capita saving distribution, or loans. Maybe some people to working on self-help groups and getting the empowerment of women. So based on this all thing information, when you're getting the information, either savings, either income, either whatever you want to convert into the grades or whatever the ranges, you can do it with the recoding to different variables. So based on that old and new values dialog box, when you have the indicated all the recode instruction, click OK to close the recode the entire different variable. Automatically, whatever you have the income, particularly 50,000, 40,000, 42,000, 52,000, 32,000, 20,000, whatever, according to what you're going to give the range. Mainly, for example, the first range you're going to give the below 25,000. You can see here, after 100, you can find the range lowest through that value. Click here, then you can give the less than whatever you want to give, less than 20,000. So yeah, you're going to give particularly the one grade 1. Again, between range 25 to 30,000, 30 to 35,000, 35 to 40,000. So based on here, mainly you can give it the range, we could give the grades, or you can give the ranges, or you can give particularly how you're going to make what you have the bulk data. You are going to make maybe 3 columns or 4 columns, particularly you can select where the people are having the income in different ranges. And so after the entering the data, after coding and recoding, if you want to make the diagrams like graphs, like apply pie charts or scatter diagrams or histograms, or you can select line charts, there are whatever the graphs, whatever you have, I think you can do it. Any type of graphs, you can do it with these steps. After having the data information, in case we want to make some diagrams or graphs, you can do it with mainly to draw and graph histogram or block spot or pie charts or bar diagram or scatter diagram, whatever the diagram you want to do it. When compared to the Excel sheet, I think you'll get a little bright and little the attractive information. So based on that, here the mainly if you go to the status bar, I think particularly where you can select that, click on graph in the menu, click on legacy dialogues. There you can get the legacy dialogues and select the appropriate option, what type of the graphs you want to make. According, for example, if you want to make the pie charts having the 100% agriculture contribution, industrial contribution, and service sector contribution, we have the 100%. Or you can select sector-wise distribution of the GDP. So you want to make the particularly pie charts, or it's to year-wise information. But since I'm giving the marks distribution, so based on that, how many under 40 marks, how many under, you can select the 45, you can say the frequencies, how many percentage also you can find it. Altogether 100% you can get. So based on here, this is the histograms, but you can get all the types of diagrams, all the types of graphs in your SPSS, the worksheet. So based on the, once you enter the data, you can make it at the pie charts with the what data we have. If you want, you have the 100% data, the different sectors like agriculture, forestry, mining, quarrying, manufacturing. You can select a trade, real estate, water and electrician, or whatever you can select the sector-wise, the sector in origins. That also you can make it 100% also. So based on that here, how we are going to do is the mainly, you can see here, if you want to make the histograms, the choose graphs, legacy dialog box, and click on histograms, double click on the variable of marks, choose titles, whatever you want to give the frequencies as well as the marks. On the top up, I think you can select the title of the chart also, you can make it, you can write down the distribution of marks of the students of whatever you can college or whatever the even your subject, and choose the title and type histograms and marks and click OK. You will get the diagrams like this. This is how we are going to make the diagram. Not only histogram, even any other diagram also, you have to select what diagram you want. Here I have given the histogram. If you want to give the pie chart, if you want to give the bar graph, if you want to give the scatter, if you want to give the line graphs, if you want to give the bar graph, you can do it. So there is not a problem. I think you can find here, mainly here the graphs. Once you click the graphs, legacy dialogues will be there. There you can find many, you can select the diagram, different varieties of diagrams also will get. So which one, according to your data, which is more appropriate, which is more suitable, then click on that. Then I think you can get the diagram according to what you wish, what you want to get. That is another important, the simple techniques how we can use. And the computation of numeral summaries, mainly you can select the frequencies as well as the other things. So mainly if you want to get the percentages, so for example, you have the bulk information, but you want to get it percentages. Maybe we have some 80 students or 100 students or even getting the data information from the field survey around 500 sample sizes. For that, I think we have to make it converting into the percentiles. The frequencies, this analysis produce the frequency tables for showing the frequency counts, percentages of the values of individual variables. Whatever you have the information, if you want to make the percentages, that the frequency is one of the main important. Easily, without any, I think within one click, we can get it the percentages of total information. So to get your percentages, or whatever the data you have, I think the simple thing you can select analyze. Go to analyze. I think I'm going to show the next slide. I think where you can select analyze. There you have to click on descriptive statistics. There the first one is frequencies. The first one is frequencies. Whatever the indicators you want to convert, you want to see the percentage distribution, I think you can take it. Even for example, here the two variables we have, the marks and sex, I think 50-50% we already, the sex means males and females, but where the marks different percentages is there. So maybe different percentage marks is there, that I think you can get it the percentages. So here you can see here mainly the frequencies. How we are going to do the frequencies mainly to get the percentages. Click on analyze, on descriptive statistics, frequencies. Double click the variable you want to analyze. Mainly you can select the variable you want to get the percentages. Say I given the marks or whatever the data you have, you can do it with your data. And select the statistics. You can get all the descriptive also, mean, median, mode, standard deviation, variance, quartiles. I think there are many things, skewness, curtosis, all you can, whatever you want to get the information, you can get it easily. So after clicking the statistics, you will get this type of box. And there you can click whatever you want to get the information, like mean and median, and standard deviation also is there, depression statistics. Here standard deviation, variance, range, maximum, minimum, standard error, mean, everything will get here. So based on that here, to get the percentage mainly, here you'll get the mean mode as well as standard deviation as well as percentage also will get. So how we can get here, the answer is like that. See for example, I have the marks I given A plus, A double plus, B plus, B double plus, whatever you can select. Here frequencies, how many out of 40 students? A under A, 4 students, B 3, A plus 1, B 6, B plus 6, B double plus 5, like that. All together the frequency will be 40 will come, and the percentage also you can find here. The first one is 4 out of 40, 10%, and 2 out of 40, 5%. And A plus only 3, 2 I think only 2.5%, some 15%, and some 7.5%. All together you get the 10%. So based on that, how we are going to get whatever the number, doesn't matter whether I have the 40 numbers or whether I have the 1,000 numbers, you will get easily how we are going to give the grades. Also, for example, income groups. Already I told income groups 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 groups I have. See the economic situation of women, self-help groups after involving many schemes. So easily you can see the difference between before and after joining the scheme or programs, how you can see the mainly ranges of incomes. Whether there is any positive impact or not, that easily you can get it through percentages. Mainly before involving or before entering the scheme, maybe for example, the National Rural Employment Scheme, or you can select the MG Narega programs, or you can select some program is Dan Jan Yojana. There are many Fasal Yojana. I think there are many programs are there, government initiating to empower mainly women as well as to eradicate the poverty and to increase the income levels. Maybe you can say by 2022, the government is telling to double the income of the farmers. I don't know how it's going to be practically possible. So based on here, mainly you can get the percentages through these are steps how we can get the percentages. And how we're going to get the explore. So mainly you can select here, explore allows quantitative variables to be classified by categories of quantitative variables. You can also identify outliers and plot box by side box plots. Mainly you can select ranges, particularly you can select easily, you can find out who is higher, who is lower, who is better, who is lower. Easily you can find out through the explore. So who is topper, who is below, means we have having the cutoff points. The who is above cutoff point, who is the below cutoff point. This type of things we can do it with the explore. The click analyze, I think already you see descriptive statistic. The second one easily you can see here. The first one is frequencies, and second one is descriptive. Third one explore. So I think where is the descriptive? Yeah, descriptive. We forget. I think yeah. After frequencies. Next, we have to see the descriptive statistics, mainly mean, mode, whatever we have. That we have to see the descriptive statistics. To get the descriptive statistics, you have to go analyze, then descriptive statistics, and there is a descriptive options. The output is displayed in the viewer windows. Mainly, you can select, I think maybe next window. The viewer window is divided into two categories. One is outline plan, contains table of contents. The other one is content of plan, that is the output. So, for example, I think maybe that output is missed. I think somewhere descriptive statistics, I think down is there. There will get the mean, mode, median, standard deviation, everything will get it there. Descriptive statistics. Once you click this one, analyze descriptive statistics and descriptives, will get the descriptive statistics mean, mode, median. That I think you'll get with the. I think I was not given all the data here, but maybe it is there descriptive statistics variables down. So that will get that with the steps simply analyze descriptive statistics and descriptive. And after that explore. So here the explore how we are going to give the click analyze descriptive statistics explore. I think that is another one. First frequencies, descriptive statistics and explore. Move quantitative variables where you can select. You can also identify outliers. Mainly you can say here the marks as a quantitative variables to the dependent list. And gender or sex in the category list, factor list using the arrows. Select both in the dialogues display box. Click on statistics. Here clicks on statistics, particular dependent list marks, factor list gender. And after that, you just click statistic box and statistics and select descriptive where you have the descriptive here, the second picture, second graph, the selective box and click on the continue. Here you given the 94% confidence level of mean. Click for plots, whatever you have. See, for example, display both descriptive 95% and continue. Again, we can go for plots where the click factor reverse together in the box plot and click on the continue, click OK. Here after I think clicking on plots, we'll get the factor levels together. I think you can get it here. After once you click the plots, then you can continue and finally click OK. Then you will get the results like this. It means here the explore tells about that the girl students are better than the boys. I already given F. F is equal to 0 and 1 equal to male, and easily can tells about that the females are better doing better in securing the good marks when compared to boys. So based on that, that is how we are going to get the simple information regarding the statistics, particularly whether explore or descriptive or frequencies. And here the other one is independent sample t-test, how we are going to get the t-test samples and t-test, whether significant or insignificant, whether what is the significant level, all things will get it here. The independent sample t-test. If two unrelated samples differ significantly from one another, you can get the significant, what the significant level, what the t-test level, t-value is tells about that. So to get the t-value, mainly the independent sample t-test, I was not given one-way sample test here. The select, analyze, you can find here again. Yes, go to analyze. Here, analyze. The compare means will be there. So once after compare means, the independent sample t-test will be there. The icon will be there. Select scores as the test variable. Scores I given already. And sex as the grouping variable. And click define groups here, F, M. That is the groups what are given female and male. And click continue. Click options. Here, options. And give, once you click the option, you can give here 95% significant will be there. Confidence level interval will be there. And click continue and click OK. I think these are the steps, one by one steps, how we'll get the t-test information with your information, whatever the data information we have. So this is the steps how we can go, how we can do. Analyze, compare means, independent sample t-test, select scores as the test variables, and sex as the grouping variable, define the groups. Again, you can select, here you'll get the F equal to 1, group 2 M, and then you can select continue, click continue here. Then after that, again, you'll come back this chart, this picture, and options mainly you can select give the 95% significant or confidence interval level and click continue and OK. Then we'll get the results like this. So here the female and male, female 13 and male 12, the mean values, standard deviation values, as well as the standard errors, and t value particularly you can select here the 2.104. Significant also you can find easily. The F change is 1.23 and significant 0.04. It means is a less than 0.05. I think you can select there is a significant conditions. So how we are going to get the t statistics, particularly t value here. This is independent sample t-test. That is how you're going to do with analyze, compare means, independent sample t-test, select scores, sex is the grouping variable, click define groups, type F for group 1 and M for group 2, click continue here, then automatically this will come, and click options. There you have to give 95% confidence intervals and click continue. After that we'll get click OK. The finally click OK here, then we'll get the results like that. And the other one is the paid sample t-test. If two related samples differ significantly from one another, like a private agency claims that the crash course of offer significantly increase the writing speed. For example, giving the writing skill test, mainly the skills of the writing is improving among the whatever they have, the clerks or whatever the people having secretaries. So based on that, a private agency claims that the crash course it offers significantly increases the writing speed of secretaries. The following data they given: the secretaries 1 to 8, the before 81, 75, 89, whatever the post words per every minute they're writing this much, and after they're getting that training they are able to write 97, but here the reduced in 72, and here the 93 and 110. So based on that, here how we're going to get these two related sample differ significantly from one another each. So this is the steps how we're going to do the paid sample t-test. The select, transform, compute and type difference in the target variables, and type after and before in the numeric expressions, and box click OK. You'll get some block spots. And after that, to get the test value, analyze, compare means, again earlier what we discussed the sample test, here also the same. Compare means, there will be option like paid sample t-test, click before, then click after to the select before after as a pair variables, click options, type 90% of confidence intervals and click continue. You can finally you'll get the results like that. Mainly you can select here how we are going to do here. The pictures you can see here, the compute variables, the pair t-test, how we are going to give pair 1 and pair 2 variable before and after. So based on that, so once we enter this all the information, then finally click OK. You can see here the 90% type, 90% confidence level in the click option conditions. Option condition again here 90% confidence level. Then finally click OK. You will get the results like this. The pair sample t-test. Here also mean value, standard deviation, standard error mean. The t values minus 2.807. Doesn't matter when you're talking about normal distribution, whether it shows minus or positive doesn't matter. Is showing the significant level. You can see here significant 0.02. It means less than 0.05%. Automatically you will get the significance. So mainly here how it tells about that. When you're going to testing the hypothesis, you can see here to check if the data support the agency claims. We can also perform the following pair t-test. Mainly you can select already I told after giving the crash course, particularly how the information, how the speeding levels increase. So mainly hypothesis H1, you can select mu is greater than mu1, particularly the test statistics t equal to minus 2.807 from SPI output what we have the C. The p value 0.02. It means less than 0.05. So based on that, the p, since the p value is less than 0.05, the null hypothesis is rejected at a 5% level of significance. The data provides that the sufficient evidence that the course significantly increased the mean typing speed. It means, so after and before comparing the pair sample t-test takes, mainly you can select, easily can identify, easily can claim or easily can tell about that. The whatever that training we given to the people, secretaries to improve their writing skill is significantly positively impacted. So based on significantly increase the mean typing speed. So based on that, that's why even sometimes the university giving a lot of training facilities for the nurses, facilities mainly for the staff, even teachers or FDP program, faculty development programs, or orientation programs, or refresher program. There are many programs giving because to improve the skills or to improve the teaching skills as well as the research skills. And the other one is the correlation. Mainly, I am going to give the only bivariate correlation here. I'm not giving the other Karl Pearson correlation, all things. But here, maybe time's running very short. I think we'll go for correlation and regression. After that, we'll end up. The bivariate correlations measures the degree of association between the two variables. The two variables are continuous. The Pearson product movement correlation is an appropriate measure. The correlation coefficients, which ranges from -1 to +1, is both a measure of the strength of the relationship and the direction of the relationship. A correlation coefficient of 1 describes a perfect relation, mainly like in which every change of one variable is associated with the change of one another variable. Mainly here the both are plus. Whereas a correlation of -1 describes a perfect relation in which every change of +1 in one variable is associated with a change of -1 in another variable. So based on that, so here the either +1 and -1 there is a correlation. At the same time, when the correlation of 0 describes a situation in which a change in one variable is not associated with any particular change in the other variable. In other words, knowing the value of one of the variables gives you no information about the value of the other. So based on that here, whether there is any relation between the education, employment, the gender, and you can select the social development. So based on that, I think we are taking many indicators to measure the women empowerment, to measure the livelihood security index, particularly you can select economic variables, social factors, economics or political factors, cultural factors. There are many factors. So based on that, what type of relationship existing. So based on that, how we are going to do with bivariate relation, what are the steps you can do it. So mainly here, this is the charts we can select as flow charts, means whatever you can select the SPSS charts or graphs we have. So first, in case we want to measure the bivariate correlation, first you have to select, go to analyze. There, come down, there is a correlation will be there. And there is a Pearson correlation, bivariate correlation. There are many other, the three I think we have, bivariate correlations. A double click with current salary to move it to the variables list. And double click beginning salary to move it to the variable list. Click options in the statistics pane. Mainly you can select here, you can select whatever the means and standards deviation by clicking the checkbox. Here, Pearson, Kendall Stabs, Spearman, two-tailed. That I think you have to see here option and click continue. Finally, click OK. Here, not I think the top you can get the OK button after entering all the data. The output will display in the output windows. Maybe not in the same window. We'll get separate window per output. So whatever you have the information like employee code, current salary, date of birth, employment category, education level, beginning salary, monthly means maybe after 10 years, what is the ending salary? Different will there. So that I think we will get the bivariate correlation. You'll see the results mainly. What happened? There is maybe some data missing. I think I don't know. But I given the results also, but it was not here. So this I think you will get easily the results related to the correlation like step by step. And the final one, simple regression as well as multiple regressions. The many statistical studies, particularly you can see the impact study, whether what factors are determining the other dependent variable and independent variable, exogenous, endogenous variables. So based on that, mainly the regression analysis, particularly economics or sociology as well as political science or even commerce management people they used to do. So simple regression 1:1, particularly one dependent variable, one independent variable. How we are going to the simple regressions. The many statistical studies are designed to explore the relation between the quantitative variables, such as the relation between the heights and weights of the people, the concentration of an injected drug and heart rate, or consumption level of some nutrients and weights gained. So based on that, in case we want to see the relations, in case we want to see the impact, taking the many variables, taking many independent variables, which factor is more determining factor for the dependent variables? So in that condition, for example, household income determined by the working population, the education level, the efficiency of work, and the other non-farm activities and household assets. There are many factors determining. So based on that, in case we want to do, but here I'm talking about only 1:1, one independent, one dependent variable, but we are going to talk about multiple regression also. There is another one. So in case we want to do the 1:1 factor, mainly simple regressions, the y equal to beta naught plus beta 1 x1. I think I'm taking only one independent variable and one dependent variable. The outcome of the response variable, like independent, to estimate the regression line for the SBP. That is, you can select. I given the word SBP, taking. Yeah, that is SBP. Blood pressure, I think systolic blood pressure means mainly SBP is nothing but systolic blood pressure. So taken different another factors, mainly the age as well as independent variable, and systolic blood pressure is the dependent variable. So based on that, here analyze the regression line regressions and go to linear, select the systolic blood pressure as a dependent variable, and select age is the independent variable. Mainly the old age, there is a high chance for the systolic blood pressure. Click statistics, then check estimates from regression coefficient box, click continue, click options, and check include the constant in equation, then click continue and click OK. You will get here mainly the linear regressions. I given SBP as a dependent variable, age is independent variable, and you can see here the coefficients, the constant value. I think every time you have to take constant, but not necessary to give the t values for constant value. But age, here we can give the coefficient is 0.971 and t value is 4.618 is highly significant. You can select 1% significant level is there. Even R square is also almost 30 to 0.432. It means 43.2% variance is there by independent variable. And here the F change also you can see the 21%. So based on that, simply he can easily get the results like how the t value, how the coefficients, how 1% increase of the age, how many percentage of increasing the blood pressure is going to be increased. That you are going to determine how the t value as well as the coefficient value is going to take, and R square is going to give the variance between the independent and exogenous endogenous variable. So this is how the procedures to run the simple regression analysis: analyze regressions, systolic blood pressure is the dependent variable, and sex or age is the independent variable. And click statistics. There you can say estimate from the regression coefficient box, and click continue, and click option and include the constant in equation. Mainly you have to include the constant also. Then continue and click OK. You will get the results like this. In case it's only 1:1, one dependent, one independent variable. But in case we want to do the multiple regression, there are many indicators. There are many indicators we have, maybe one dependent variable, and there are many independent variables are there. That in case we want to do the multiple regressions. In the multiple linear regression setting, the response variable Y dependence, not only one, just one, but K explanatory variables like X1, X1, X2, X3, X3, X4, Xn, whatever you can say, there are many variables, many indicators. Like the women empowerment, women economic status determine the many factors. So based on that, the mean response is the linear combination of the explanatory variables, that B plus, I think you can say Y, mu Y equal to B, beta naught plus beta 1 X1, beta 2 X2, beta 3 X2, and beta 3 X3, beta 4 X4, whatever, etc. Beta N Xn or beta K Xk we are given. That is, you can select the multiple regression. This expression is the population regression equations. We cannot directly observe the equation because the observed value of Y vary about their means. We can think of subpopulations of responses, each corresponding to a particular set of values for all explanatory variables like X1, X2, X3, X4, X4, whatever you can select. In each subpopulation, Y varies normally with the means given to the population regression equation. So based on that, you can see the equation also here, Y equal to B naught, beta naught plus beta 1 X1 and beta K Xk, and error term you are given, that is. So example, the fuel consumption is heating at home with a function of other variables such as outdoor air temperature and wind velocity. Mainly the fuel consumption is heating a home is a function of, there are given two variables like outdoor air temperature and wind velocity. To obtain the equation, the multiple regression model for the fuel consumption of temperature and wind velocity using SPSS, there is the system or how we are going to do mainly. How we are going to take particularly the stepwise, the choose, analyze, regressions, linear, and select the fuel as a dependent variable, and select temperature as well as wind for the independent box. I am taking the 1:2 mainly here, the two independent variable. You can take many, there is no doubt at all, there is no problem at all. You can take many, n number you can take, and click statistics and estimates from simple, similar to the simple regression only, but here the many independent we are taking. So based on that, include constant equation and click OK. Then you can get the results like this. So here, there are many indicators. The fuel is the dependent variable, and wind as well as temperature is independent variables. There are other variables also we have, but only I taken two here. So based on that, again, after going to statistics, we can click on many. I think you can select. There are many things we have to click. Like click statistics and estimates for the regression coefficients, and model fit. Particularly model fit talks about the whether the model is fit, good fit or not, and click continue. Options include constant value also you can give, then click OK. I think we'll get the results like that. The where model, constant, temperature, wind, velocity, where beta is minus 0.628 and wind velocity is 0.138. This is negatively correlated, negatively impacted, mainly when the T values is highly significant. Both the temperature as well as wind are highly significant, because his significant level is 0.00. Highly you can select 1% significant level is there, and even the wind also highly significant, mainly 0.01. That is less than 0.05. So based on that, but wind, I think temperature is negatively significant. Here the negative mark is there, minus is negative, but doesn't matter whether T value is whether minus or positive, because when talking about normal distribution, no need to take into consideration about the T value whether minus or positive. Whether I think dumbbell bell shape will have, we know the how normal distribution is distributed. So based on that, here the model summary, the R-square is 0.90. It means 90% variation is there between dependent and independent variables, and mainly we had to take the F change also as well as the T values also. This is how we are going to take. So this is what I think the simple steps, I think stepwise, or you can say user guide, how we can do the models or running the equation, particularly the results. the basic knowledge mainly, particularly. I think we have many due to time constraint. Not taking all ANOVA or chi-square test or other things. Maybe in the next class, maybe you can see that one. But this is, I think, I will give the slide all the PPTs. So maybe even I have some other even PDF material also regarding this user guides. So anyhow, I'm going to send. But any doubts or queries, I think this is application mode. This is not like theoretical base. This is application. How we are going to do the applications, and the scholars, those who are doing research mainly regarding using the statistic SPS package. I think anytime they can contact, anytime they can get my help. Mainly how the procedures you can do the practices mainly. When I was there in Nagaland Central University last 14 years, I used to teach the computer application for the students of PhD scholars. I think we used to do on time and mainly verbally or you can say physically. We used to do in the laboratory lab. But online though, I think it's not possible because if any query or if any problems they're facing, any scholars, whoever participant, I don't know, maybe majority is there. Almost 64%, 64, I think 60, many people are there. If anyone having any problem related to application part, I think there is feel free to communicate or contact me anytime. Doesn't matter whether it belongs to St. Joseph University, doesn't matter whether it belongs to anywhere. But anytime, any help, I think, particularly application part. If you are having any problem regarding the stepwise, any doubts, I think you can communicate, you can contact me. I given already my mail ID is there. Even you can use the girihu@gmail.com also is there. Even the person, and even my mobile number also I displayed 986219552. So if any queries or if anyone wants to interact, please.
Hello.
Yes. Yeah.
Hello,
Yes.
sir. It was a very nice session, sir. Thank you
Yes,
so
yes.
much for that. Sir, actually, though you have not covered the factor analysis, sir, can I ask a question related to factor analysis, sir?
So yeah, please tell me. Yeah.
Sir, actually, when I apply exploratory factor analysis on my research data, so actually, I don't get the factors in the the way I should get. So they're shattered here and there. Sir, how to resolve this problem or how to overcome this problem, sir?
Okay, you please mail me or you can send me the message. I'll just go through and I'll let you in. I'll give the information because I had to see again I had to open my spaces and I had to run something like then only I'll give, because I was not covered here factor analysis or principal component analysis or even chi-square test also was not covered here. So I can help you. I think you please mail me or you can WhatsApp me whatever the issue, what you have the problem. So let me practice, and then I think because even you tell me about your data also. See, factor analysis or principal component analysis, maybe you can take like quotes, five chances like good, very good, excellent, whatever. This type of data only we used to take. Let me, I think, go through once in the practically. Then I think I will give the answer how we can proceed in case any query or any disturbance or whatever you can get the problems that I'll try to rectify the problems. Then no need to worry about that.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yes, Praveen.
Hello, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for the wonderful session SPSS. Yes, sir. That is our Professor Giri Babu from Mizoram University. And if any participants have any queries or any questions, we can take this precious time. Yes, we have our expert, our professor. So any participants beside our Muskan, is there anyone who have any questions?
Please.
Yes, sir.
Yes, thank you. Because actually I'm hurried to get my vaccine. Today is my university giving the second dose. So because of this program, I was saying, I think by 2, I had to take the vaccine because up to 2 only they're going to give. Anyone, please feel free and text me your whatever the challenge, whatever the solution, whatever the problem you have. Please, I'll try my level best to rectify the problem, particularly in the application part.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. Yes.
Okay, my dear.
So I hope there's no queries, and if there's any queries, you can always contact our professors. Again, I take this very precious time to thank all those people who are behind this, the success of this national seminar. Firstly, I will thank all those three research persons, our Professor Vicky Langla, Mr. Pratip, our Professor Guru Babu, for the precious time, valuable time, and sharing the knowledge and experience with us. Yeah, thank you so much, sir, our research person. And I also like to thank the management of St. Joseph University for the constant support and encouragement. On a great note, I want to thank our HOD, Dr. Debojit, and all the faculty members, the Advising Secretary of Economics Department of St. Joseph University, and all the wonderful participants. And I'm very sure that we have learned so much with all this throughout the day. We have learned so much about SPSS, about research methodology. So let not this day be the only day, but also the coming days, I hope we'll all meet together. So I wish you all the very best, and may God bless each one of us. And thank you for a wonderful time. Thank you, sir, once more. Sir Giri Babu.
Thank you for the opportunity, and thank you for all St. Joseph University faculty members, my scholars, and all the colleagues. Thank you so much. Yes.
So with a wonderful note, we'll finally come to the end of our national seminar. So all the best, and may God bless us all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sir Giri, for your wonderful presentation.
Thank you, my dear. Thank you. Yes.
You keep in touch, and thank you for your time today's national webinar and with us. So we are at the last part of this national webinar, and so now it is time 1:45, and we declare to conclude today's national webinar. Thank you, all of you, for your participation.